Good morning, WA, and a very pleasant good afternoon to the rest of the country. Welcome to the Adelaide Oval for the earliest match in West Coast history as they clash with Port Adelaide in the penultimate game of round 2. It is 9 a.m. in Perth right now, and the Eagles faithful getting out of bed, brimming with hope that the Andrew McQualter era has started. They snapped a 308-day winless drought last week with a 17-point victory over North Melbourne. But can they back it up at a venue they haven't won at since 2021 against a side they've lost 5 straight matches to? The Power would have been heavy favourites heading into this contest after smashing Essendon by 63 points, but they're now in the midst of an injury crisis. Todd Marshall out, Miles Bergman the same, and their skipper Connor Rozee out for 3 months with a hamstring injury. It is a lot to overcome, and both these sides will be very hopeful they can get the job done today, because it could find them as close as the top 6, depending on results. It is the early stages of the season, but it feels like both these clubs have a lot of optimism after their results last week. Aaron Bryans to call the action for you on a beautiful day in Adelaide, and alongside me on ABC Sport is our very own Tom Wilson. Good to see you, Tom.
Great to see you, Aaron. Very excited about today because both teams, as you mentioned, can go 2-1 with a win. And I think both teams, the key word for them will be consistency. We saw their best from both of them last week, especially West Coast in that second half. What an exciting pieces of tall timber they have up forward with Duff Tyler and Shanahan. So can they expose Port Adelaide down there if they can get it quick? And I know Josh Carr said this week that he just wants consistency of performance, believes in the system, and that will help them get the result today.
It's so hard to gauge what those results mean, given what we saw from Essendon last night, what we've seen from them during the year. Port Adelaide's win might be meaningless, and for the Eagles, meanwhile, to knock off a North Melbourne side who also feel like they're on the rise, but they did it at home, and away is another tough task. They snapped that 14-game losing streak, but there's still a 14-game away losing streak that West Coast are stuck in the middle of that they've got to overcome this afternoon. Our experts here at the Adelaide Oval, firstly the Premiership Crow, our 26-year veteran on ABC Sport. It's good to see Rod Jamieson. Good afternoon, Jamo.
Aaron, good afternoon. Tom, thank you. And I think waking up in Perth would be like, you know, when the Olympics are on and there's just so much sport on and you just wake up straight away and turn it on. To wake up on a Sunday morning and watch your team play on TV, I couldn't think of a better start.
A lot of punters have actually embraced it here at the Adelaide Oval. We were walking around before and I saw a fair few of them with beers in hand. It was 11:30 and they were rocking and rolling with a couple of drinks, and really embracing what is going to be an interesting afternoon for both the West Coast Eagles and WA footy fans. Alongside Rod Jamieson, we've got the All-Australian midfielder, the 4-time Showdown medalist, and the man who is 1-0 as a senior coach in the Sandful this year, Josh Franco. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron, Tom and Rod. It was a good win for the Roosters yesterday. Nice to get the first win on the board, but I guess more importantly today, you mentioned the weather conditions, absolutely magnificent. I look at West Coast Eagles at halftime of the game against the Kangaroos last week. It was like they are going nowhere. Then all of a sudden they flick the switch. Port Adelaide, a little bit the same. I just can't get a read on them. They were really poor against North Melbourne in round 1. And then last week they were playing really nobody. So are they good? Are Essendon that bad? Potentially a bit of both. So I think today
Essendon are that bad.
Yeah, they are. And potentially today answers a few more questions. But a big question mark over Port Adelaide, where they're at. I just don't know.
And the Eagles, I mean, last week it was the second consecutive game they conceded 7 goals in the first quarter. They probably can't afford to do that here. Port Adelaide will not let them back into the game. So we'll see how it all starts, and we'll unpack it all in a moment's time, including how Port Adelaide replaces Connor Rozee and what the West Coast Eagles do in terms of their midfield mix to try and clamp Zach Butters. Text line this afternoon, 0437 774 774, and there are no late changes either. There was an injury cloud over Jake Wardham with his calf and the ankle of Liam Baker, but they are both ready to rock and roll. So both teams as named, and we've got a debutant, Josh Lai, out there for Port Adelaide this afternoon, the Singaporean who's started out with a soccer background and found his way onto an AFL list after grinding away in the Melbourne Southern Football League. So we'll see Josh Lai out there this afternoon in the number 43. Before we get into our pre-game preview, gents, I want to talk about the big news of the morning, which I think has surprised a lot of the footballing community given the narrative that was out there in the media sphere over the last couple of weeks, and that is that the grand final is confirmed to be starting at 2:30 again for the next 2 years. So there was a lot of talk that Kylie Minogue might be coming in, and maybe we're going to get our Twilight Grand Final that a lot of people have been pushing for. But the statement from AFL Commission Chair Craig Drummond and AFL CEO Andrew Dillon today said locking in the start time for the next 2 years provides fans, clubs and stakeholders with certainty, and it allows the AFL to consider the broader competition before Tasmania comes in 2028. So for the next 2 years, we've got our afternoon grand final, Jamo.
Awesome. I'm super happy with it. I'm not overly fussed. I think it's in a good time. It's the functions that happen prior to on the Friday, and then also the Saturday morning, then walk to the MCG or watch it and get yourself organised on a Saturday morning into the afternoon. I actually don't mind the time slot at all.
I'm a little bit the same, Jamo. I'm a bit of a traditionalist in terms of that. I think it's always been played at 2:30, and I think they should keep it that way. I also think they should have one centre bounce for the year, and that's to start the grand final at 2:30.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a divisive conversation. There are certainly many people who feel like Twilight will be better, and visually and entertainment-wise it's going to be great. And then, others who are more traditional. And I'm personally in the camp that I like going out after a grand final. I love having the opportunity to have a night to celebrate, which you don't really get. It'd be so late by the time it wraps up. So that's always going to be a contentious one. But what I kind of take out of this story is the fact they've locked it away for 2 years. So there's stability now. And I think every fan gets frustrated, Tom, about the AFL bingo card, that every year we have to talk about the grand final start time. And this is the last weekend we're going to have to for a while. Like, it's done, it's buried, we know what we're dealing with. And to be honest, I love that the AFL has made a stand and said this is what we're doing.
It'll be until this time next year, because it's the same as a coach who's running out of a contract. Are we going to shore up the future of the 2:30 grand final? Can you lock it in? I mean, that's what's going to happen in a year's time. But it's good for them to say 2 years. I personally love the afternoon grand final. I think it works well. It always comes down to what the broadcast dollars want, and we're in a situation where that's becoming more and more important because the players are such big stakeholders in the game, and it certainly affects them. And there's always a competition with NRL, and that being a Sunday night grand final wins the ratings war for that one-off versus the one-off. And I know at AFL House they'd be considering all those sorts of things, and maybe because Kylie Minogue couldn't said no, that's why we've got a 2-year deal that's in the afternoon.
I think outside of COVID, wasn't it too? Isn't there an agreement in place that the grand final is played at the MCG for like 100 years?
Yep.
So why don't you just say 2:30 for the next until whenever?
Yeah, well, I think it's another 45 years or something like that it's locked at the MCG.
Yeah. And then you lock it away, and you know what? If for some reason the time changes in that particular year, then you can make that change and make that announcement. I would have thought it's that easy.
Yeah, I think it is pretty simple. I think they like to talk about it and people like to do it that, but I think potentially with the feedback that they received this week would be that the Ironed-On fans are very happy with that 2:30 time slot.
So that's the news if you're just joining us. The AFL confirming that for 2026 and 2027 we're going to get a 2:30 Eastern Standard Time start for the AFL Grand Final, which puts it to bed hopefully for at least a year. We don't have to talk about it in terms of the numerous topics that do the rounds every single year when it comes to mid-season trade periods and this time of the Grand Final. There's always a lot of contentious topics that do come up. All right, let's have a look ahead to this game. So Port Adelaide and West Coast this afternoon. The ball up these days is about 14 minutes away. Both sides are getting ready to make their way out onto what looks like a gorgeous deck that's sun-baked. Not really a cloud in the sky either, and a decent crowd kind of building given the early start here in South Australia. Josh Franco, Rod Jamieson, what do Port Adelaide do about the loss of Connor Rosen?
It's a big one, isn't it? Really big. I actually don't know. I think maybe Zach Butters will spend more time in there, clearly in the middle, and there's been a lot of talk around his leadership too. And I must admit I was a little surprised when Chad Corns came out, was it earlier this year, and said that Zach Butters is probably the best leader in the club by the Flemington Straight. I think he referred to it
should have been the captain.
Yeah, so maybe in terms of leadership, disrespectfully or respectfully, maybe not a whole lot, Josh, I wouldn't have thought then, if that's the view of what's inside, but you'd rather have him out there than not have him there. But it's Absolutely. An incredibly difficult injury to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and I think the other dynamic it adds to it is, I think from West Coast perspective, when they sit down and look at Port Adelaide's strength is their midfield. You take out a key mover and a key player in there, if you shut down a Zach Butters, then who else have they got? And I think, again, he complements Zach Butters superbly. He's not going to be there for a minimum of 3 months, so it'll be interesting to see what they do West Coast today and whether they do try to shut Zach Butters out of the game, which is easier said than done because he's such a dynamic player. But almost at the point, if you can influence of Zach Butters and restrict that, then I think that probably holds them in good stead to at least get the game on their terms for periods.
We got a bit of a glimpse of it last week, given he got injured early in the third, and we could see kind of statistically what changed in terms of the centre bounce rotations. Jason Horne-Francis obviously jumped massively, and they spoke during the week, Hamish Hartlett, about the fact that they didn't want to overdo it. He's still coming back from that foot injury, but he had a massive presence in that game. It seemed like it, paid dividends by injecting him in there. He ended up with 26 touches alongside his 3 goals. Meanwhile, Jack Watkins is another who Josh Carr really likes, a rookie draftee who's won best and fairest across the country in State League. He had 9 centre bounce appearances in the last quarter and again racked up plenty of the footy. So there's a couple of options there. And Will Brodie might be the other, Josh, someone that you saw at the start of his career, a first-round pick at Gold Coast, gets traded to Freo, now Matt finds his way to Port Adelaide. Is he an option?
Look, he's a really interesting one for me. I did coach him at the Gold Coast Suns. Probably the biggest knock on his game was his inability to transition defensively. Whether he's fixed that or not, I'm not sure, but fell out of favour. It almost coincided when Josh Carr left Fremantle and came to Port Adelaide. We didn't see Will Brodie in the purple at all in the last couple of years, but obviously Josh Carr rates him very highly, and high enough that they're playing Ollie Wines in the Sandful this week, which I thought was an interesting move.
But Logan Evans would be another one too that I could possibly in his third year.
Yeah.
And the other one I would like, with such an elite leg, is Kane Farrell, but you take him out of that back line where you can bring it out and use the footy well. I think he's sort of low down, centre of gravity, reads the footy well, uses the football like almost elite on that left. I'd love to see him maybe run some time.
The problem there is they've just lost Miles Bergman as well. So you're running out of half-back stocks. You need your really good ball movers to stay there, which, in turn hurts your rotations in the midfield. So
it does, absolutely.
They've got a lot of holes to fill.
And Jackson Mead could do it. He's basically been an inside mid his whole career, but he's shifted back in a new role over the summer.
I think the thing about Connor Rosie, though, and it's interesting, we can talk about potentially throwing a Logan Evans in there, or Adelaide are doing it with a Dan Curtin. Playing inside mids, it's a really difficult, challenging role, and you need that game awareness, the game sense, and just the understanding of what happens at the coalface, which is easier said than done again. So, you can expose players in there, but losing a Connor Rosie, you lose a lot of class and composure around the footy, which, as we said, will hurt Port Adelaide. Just means Zach Butters has just got to keep carrying the can along with Horne-Francis.
Thoughts of Josh Franco and Rod Jamieson on ABC Sport. Great to have your company for Port Adelaide and West Coast. No late changes, so Waterman and Baker good to go. The Eagles now running out onto the Adelaide Oval, a venue they haven't won at in their last 10 fixtures here. Josh Lindsay returns to the side, their first-round draftee who the club drew a lot of criticism for dropping him in round 2, given he had 16 touches in the first fixture. Harry Schomburg's out there on debut for the West Coast Eagles as well. You'll know that name from the Adelaide Crows. He spent 6 years on their list, 62 games and 36 of those at this venue. Picked up as a supplementary selection player and now gets a crack at his new club. At the expenses of Harry Edwards, who suffered a concussion, and Milan Murdoch, who had a hamstring injury, which apparently was during the game last week and played through it. He's been a tremendous addition, Milan Murdoch, and unfortunately they will not have him out there today. Port Adelaide out on the ground as well. They knocked off Essendon by 63 points last week and have won 6 of their last 7 against the Eagles. Josh Lai, the debutant. Will Brodie's there as well as the club debutant for Port Adelaide. And Lockie Jones returns from his hamstring injury. Rosie, Bergman and Marshall all injured and all out with leg problems. For the West Coast Eagles, there were a lot of positive signs last week, and the big narrative coming out of the West was that this is the start of the Andrew McCalter era. So they'd won before with him, but it was just the one victory last year. And they've had a really horror run. So before their victory last week, they were 11-81 in the games that they played over the last kind of 4 seasons. It was a real run of misery. But for some reason, the way that they played after quarter time last week has instilled a lot of hope in the West Coast faithful, and they feel like it is now their time.
Well,
do you believe that?
Look, I think it's a small sample size, so let's not get too carried away just at the moment. But they look really dynamic ahead of the ball. They got some, tall timber up there which can hit the scoreboard. Harley Reid looks fitter, and he looked to really influence the game, particularly in that second half last week. But I guess the reality of AFL football is it is such a brutal, tough competition, and it does take time to build. So McQualter obviously hasn't had the best run in terms of his win-loss record, but they are definitely building something over in the West.
Well, I think 10 debutants last year as well, so we'll see a number of them run around today, and round 2 was the least experience of games played in this team. So
And that's significant, Gemmo.
It is,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Totally. So I was keen to sort of see how they would go, and up against the first quarter last week of the Kangaroos, I thought, oh no, this is going to be another long year.
Yeah.
But gee, then they really took it to the Kangaroos, and I think the Kangaroos are certainly a big improver this year. Again, small sample, only seeing the 3 games, but I think the way and the targets in which they performed. I mean, Jamie Cripps is coming to the end. He's 33, but I like what Liam Baker has brought to West Coast, and Jack Graham. Like, there's some hardness in there too to be able to help and support. I mean, Harley Reid is continuing to grow and develop. You know, Matt Flynn is still very young in terms of a ruck and what he needs to do. So to see him in the flesh for the first time in a number of months, I'm pretty keen to have a look at the younger players.
5 premiership players out there for the Eagles, but also they've got 3 supplementary selection players who are guys who couldn't get drafted and then are picked right before the season starts. 3 mid-season players out there as well across Port Adelaide and West Coast. The age factor, we crunched the numbers during the week in terms of the team that's out there this afternoon. So age profile, Port Adelaide are averaging around 24 years of age. West Coast are 22, which is a very young team. And the games played, actually, surprisingly, the Eagles are a little bit higher than Port Adelaide, 75 to 73. But that's, again, largely because they've got guys like Elliot Yeo and Liam Baker who are, I guess, impacting that scale because of how many games they've played. But they are a very young list. And when you actually dissect, I guess, why they've been battling, a lot of people go back to the Tim Kelly trade and why that hurt their list. But they actually don't have a first rounder that they drafted on their list right now from 2014 to 2020. That's 6 years that they don't have a flurry of kind of really highly touted potential talent. And a lot of those, some of the times they didn't have picks. Others they had, retirements with Dan Venables, and a couple of them they delisted or traded. So, they're still trying to replenish what was a really long period without young talent coming through, Josh, which can be hard to kind of overcome.
Absolutely. And, I mean, only got to look at the other side of the coin. You look at someone like a Gold Coast who is just jam-packed full of first-rounders. So, if your draft is compromised and you can't develop and nurture that young talent, it does put you a long way behind the 8 ball. Particularly, I reckon, now with Tasmania coming in a couple of years' time, that compromises it even more.
They lost a lot of games last year through retirement or trades too. Oscar Allen was probably the disappointing one, being a captain of the club and left the club after 100 games. Jaden Hunt, I don't know if West Coast saw the best of him. I thought he was probably a better player at Melbourne and then went to West Coast and didn't really think he was injury plagued. Jerry McGovern was certainly the medical retirement for him too, and the key role that he played across their halfback line. The trade of Liam Ryan, 125 games there too, but also Dom Sheed and his experience. So there's a lot of games and a lot of experience across multiple lines in there that they lose, and they just have to play young kids. And I guess the balance of playing young is you've got to be able to play some older, mature players and experience. We had this conversation last week about Essendon, didn't we? Like, there was 10 players, Josh, last week in Essendon's team that have played under 30 games.
Yeah.
And then you've got Zach Merritt that wanted to exit the club. Draper's gone. So all of a sudden you've got all this experience gone. We're actually saying, well, Essendon need experience to be able to help and carry the load and educate their younger players. And I think West Coast are probably pretty much in that similar vein.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point, Jam. In terms of the young guys, you look at the top end sides. If you're a young player coming into the Brisbane Lions, you just get swept along in the current. You jump on board and are led by the senior players. Whereas if you go to one of the sides down the bottom, as you said, like an Essendon, you're expecting so much of those young kids coming through the system and that have been put on the list. And as we said, it's a tough competition.
Which is a perfect segue to Harley Reid. So career high 30 touches last week, 10 coaches' votes for the second time in his career. I went back through the number 1 draftees to look at when they started to really peak and explode. So Aaron Cadman, 44-goal season in his 3rd year. Jason Horne-Francis made the All-Australian squad in his 3rd year. Jamara Ugle-Hagan jumped from 18 goals to 35 goals in his 3rd year. Sam Walsh won a best and fairest and an All-Australian. Tom Boyd won a premiership. So Harley Reid right now in his 3rd campaign, I feel like he's about to find his feet and really explode. And we probably saw that last week, that he's now arrived.
Well, I think what also happens as well, and it's just the perception of a Harley Reid in the first 2 seasons that he's in the AFL system. You expect so much more from him, but you actually lose sight of the fact he's a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid who's still trying to find his way, and which is why you can't buy experience and you need to play games and get games into these young guys. And you hope that a Harley Reid can fulfil, I guess, the excitement that he has created over in the West, and he was terrific last week, and fingers crossed for his sake and West Coast's sake that he can build on that.
There's a lot of pressure, Jamo. He was front page of the newspaper 25 times before he even played.
Well, I think it's probably not dissimilar to here when, with Adelaide and Port Adelaide players in this town too, and the pressure that is applied. And yes, and being number one and being up there and carrying that load. And look, he just put himself out there too, and he's tried to lift his team, and he's trying to do what he can. And I think he's better balanced towards the end of last year and what I've seen this year too. But
you're talking more emotionally?
Yeah. He's just a bull at a gate in the first year or two, wasn't he? So you get the enthusiasm, you get what he's got to try and do or what he wants to become, and I love what he is. We certainly haven't seen the best. I think you're right, Aaron. I think you need probably 2 to 3 years. Like, there's not too many elite players that come to the comp and rip it apart in the first year. There might be the occasional one, but have a couple of years to settle in. Your body changes. You're 18, 19, 20. You've had a couple of years in the gym. You played a bit of footy. You understand it now, and I think maybe it is. If West Coast can win, half a dozen games to 10 games, I think you'll see a very different Harley Reid.
Thoughts of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco on ABC Sport. Carlton and Melbourne still to come later today at the MCG, but we're building up to Port Adelaide and West Coast. No late changes here. Reminder as well, if you want to hear Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series, it's available on Sport Extra from 2:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Brett Sprigg will call the action. Series is levelled at 1 apiece, so we'll see what plays out over in Sydney. And the Sheffield Shield's on right now. Hit the cricket button on ABC Listen. South Australia lead by 139 runs, 7 down at the moment. And a warm welcome to everybody joining us at a beautiful Adelaide Oval ahead of Port Adelaide and West Coast. No late changes as these two sides look to string together consecutive victories after originally being labelled as cellar dwellers. Aaron Bryans and Tom Wilson calling the action for you alongside Premiership crow Rod Jamieson, 4-time Showdown medalist Josh Franco. Vicky Schwartz is downstairs as well in the build-up to the first ball up today on a very early start in the festival state. Vicky, what's it like down there?
Oh, Aaron, it's absolutely beautiful day at the magnificent Adelaide Oval. Not a breath of air, not a cloud in the sky. It's currently 22. We're heading for a top of 24 degrees. West Coast have just won the toss and will kick to the left of your dial or the northern end. And on the bench for Port Adelaide, Mead, Berry, Ware, Brodie and Durden. While for the West Coast Eagles, Lindsay, Graham, Duff Tyler, Allen and former Crow Harry Schonberg.
It is officially the earliest start to a game in AFL history, given the West Coast Eagles body clock is 9:30 right now. We'll see if it plays a factor. They look ready to fire against the Port Adelaide side, who is currently in the midst of an injury crisis. They knocked off the Bombers by 63 points. But in terms of their changes, no Connor Rozee for 3 months. The skipper out with a torn hamstring tendon. Miles Bergman with a foot issue is out as well. Todd Marshall rolled his ankle but likely to come back next week. So Josh Lyes, the debutant, the Singaporean. Will Brodie as well plays in his new colours for the Power. Lockie Jones out there as well on return from a hamstring injury. Josh Lindsay back for the Eagles. Harry Schomburg makes his club debut, the former Adelaide Crow, so he knows his ground very well. And Harry Edwards out with concussion, Milan Murdoch with a hamstring. Jamo, Josh, who wins today? What's your expectations?
I'm probably a little on the fence. I'm not convinced about Port, and I think that was some of the narrative after the game last week, and I just think West Coast got their tails up on.
Look, I think Port Adelaide, I think there's just too much speed in the midfield with Horn, Francis and Butters, so Port Adelaide comfortably.
Port, I think. Port. Only because they're at home.
Yeah.
All right, here we go on ABC Sport. It's Port Adelaide and West Coast. You're with Tom Wilson.
A lot of conviction there, but we're in the middle of the ground. Flynn knocks it straight down to Robertson, the West Coast recruit. Dives on top of the footy. Horn Francis steals it. Squib kick forward, gathered by Baker, who took on the tackle of Drew. Umpire says we'll ball it up 15 metres forward of the centre circle. So the Rucks go at it again. Sweep down to Drew. Gets the handball away to Burn-Jones. Kicks up towards centre half forward. Running onto it is Richards. 45 metres out. A half kick towards goal. No, to Lukosius, who's right on the goal line. Takes a chest mark. And he's going to open the account with an absolute certainty.
Well, the perfect start, Jamo, for Port Adelaide, wasn't it? The centre bounce into a ball up and the clearance from the Power. And that's probably the different dynamic for Port Adelaide's forward line this year with the Smalls going through there.
And Lukosius kicks it very high into the Riverbank stand. A perfect start for the pair. They're 1 straight 6. West Coast yet to score. Just a minute gone on the clock here for ABC Sport at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, straight down the middle, isn't it? Jack Lukosius, really good last week, Josh. 3 goals as well. Got better as the game got on. Had a lot of space and Once again, I think Joe Richards, again, he's just a smart player. The more footy he's played, he's up, now, around 34th game today. So we're talking about the experience that you need to get into players, and he's into his second and third season. And even that small brigade for Port Adelaide to have the ball, Berry, Richards and Durden, they're going to prove a handful for a lot of opposition defences throughout the course of this season.
Jack Lukosius with 3 goals last week on return and now on the board early here at the Adelaide Oval. Devon Robertson in game 50 was running with Zach Butters, but they're letting him go now at this ball up. Sweet flies early, Flynn stays down, knocks it towards Yo, pushed off his kick up towards half forward. Newton waited for the bounce, and Davis has to become the tackler as first to the footy is Jace Burgoyne. Now we'll get the reset. Sweet in front position, paddles it out wide. Butters in a paddock, gathers and goes, tucking it under one arm through the broadcast wing. Spears it up to right half forward, little hot for Georgiades, but he can turn and run into the footy. Jimby committed and is trailing behind him. Georgiades hands it to Burne-Jones, 20 out, tried to get it back to the West Australian, but it's sharked away by Tyler Young. The Eagles can clear it out to the right half back area, but it's going to tumble over the boundary line and will be last disposal. That's going to be the danger too if they allow Butters on that side, the offensive side of the throw up, and just if he gets clean footy, he's going to be damaging.
So Lai with his first kick in footy inside the forward 50, but best read by Duggan, who marked in front of Whitlock. He's got it in the right back pocket for the Eagles, trailing by 6 points. Puts it on that trusty left boot. Up down the line, fisted down, gathered by Watkins, who sends it back in the forward 50 for Port. Duggan again coming over the top, and well, Lukosius was met hard by Baker, falls in the lap of Watkins, who unloads from 50, and he slotted it. Repeat entries for the Power, and they get the desired result. Watkins busy early, gets his first. Port go to 2 straight 12. West Coast yet to score. A hot start for the Power at home. 3.5 minutes gone in the first term.
Yeah, well, it is, Tom. It's the perfect start for Port Adelaide. Just settle the nerves after last week. And they look pretty threatening around the footy. Butters is already starting to get his hands on the ball. And on that occasion, just lacking a little bit of composure. But you mentioned it, they're getting the repeat entries. They're putting the defence under pressure, and their opportunities they're nailing. Terrific finish there from Watkins.
3.5 minutes in. Port Adelaide 4 inside 50s already for 2 goals. Double the disposals, only early, 11-6, but both teams only going in the mid-30s as disposal efficiency. Touched on it in the pre-game, but the Eagles have conceded 7 goals in the opening quarter in consecutive weeks. They bounce back to recover against North Melbourne, but there's a big mountain to climb, and they're facing a similar prospect. Tap down Flynn to Reid, who shrugs off Drew, hands it to Davis, kicks up to half forward, cut off by Josh Lai. The Singaporean man, short pass up to Butters, and G puts on the Jets as he darts his way around Yo. On the 45 up to the right half forward flank. Uses Burne-Jones. They've got the overlap. He'll release Burgoyne, who pulls the kick central straight towards Whitlock. Found himself in the hole, collected for his troubles, but no 50. And a set shot to come, 30 out.
I'll tell you what I will say. From that centre bounce, and he won't get a stat for it, Jack Watkins was outstanding in terms of the pressure that he created on the ball carrier. Affected the kick, caused the turnover. And then Port Adelaide were terrific on the rebound. He's one of Josh Carr's favourites, Jack Watkins. He said on SA Grandstand about a fortnight ago that he'll be in this team for a long period of time. It wasn't going to be a short plug and play. Well, he's got speed and he's combative. Perfect mix for this level. Whitlock crosses the paint of 50. Eyeing the Riverbank stand, he leans back on the kick, and it is a superb finish. Port have 3 unanswered goals in the space of 5 minutes. 3 straight 18. West Coast yet to score, yet to go inside 50. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco to break it all down. I was reading an article this morning on Jack Whitlock, and now you're not allowed to show their weight of a player across all the leagues, but apparently he's eating like 6 to 8 meals a day. Like to try and put on some weight. Went back home to Shepparton and has been in the gym all summer apparently, and you can kind of see it in his shoulders. He's been trying his best to gain some mass. You think so? Look how skinny he looks. Yeah, look at his shoulders though in comparison to the rest of his body. Yeah, he's certainly got some height, but for me already the concern for West Coast is just they need to lock on in defensive mode. Just the ease in which Port Adelaide are able to go from one end to the other with their ball movement. Well, ease from the ruck, Jamo, from Sweet, who just grabbed it out himself, ends up with a handball in the hands of Farrelly's long ball, got out over the back of Jinby,
Georgiades puts an enormous amount of pressure on him, and somehow the Eagles get that through for a rush behind. Much needed. Port go to 3-1-19. West Coast yet to score. We've talked about the early start for the Eagles, at 9:30 Eastern time. Maybe they're still in bed, boys.
That's the first shout. Well, you look at the disposal count, it's 20-9. They just can't get their hands on the footy, the Eagles.
Duggan plays on from the defensive goal square, one of the 5 premiership plays for the Eagles this afternoon. Long kick to the broadcast wing. Early fly from Reid. Staying down is Shanahan, who takes the mark against Radaglia. Has it at left half back. Shanahan down the line for West Coast. 2-on-2 awaits. Lockie Jones got a hand in against Waterman. Tap down to Farrell, who releases Drew. Port Adelaide again on the turnover. Hot footy. Bounces its way back to Burgoyne, though. Burn-Jones pushed as he kicked it. Still well weighted. Hits Georgiades on the paint of 50. They've got the overlap, and he'll share it to Whitlock. They were queuing up inside 50. Jack Whitlock takes it 25 out, 45 to the right.
Well, even that long down the line kick from the West Coast Eagles there, I don't reckon that's the play. Port Adelaide did defend the ground really well, but they've got to take a little bit more risk with ball in hand and try to change the angle of the kick. Just shift Port Adelaide's defence, because at the moment, if they kick long down the line, they're losing contest and it's coming back with interest.
A history of early starts for West Australian clubs as well. Fremantle lost by 78 points on a 10 a.m. start last year. West Coast 76 points to the Dogs 2 years ago, 10 a.m. again. This is 9:30 at the moment. Whitlock comes in and has 2 in the opening quarter. Port with 4 unanswered. 4-1-25. West Coast caught napping, yet to go inside 50. And we've played 7 minutes to the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The text line this afternoon as well. If you'd like to get in touch, if you've just rolled out of bed out west, 0437 774 774.
Yeah, defence and turnovers, that's what's hurting West Coast right at the moment too. You're right, Josh. They need to move the footy quicker and just maintain possession really at the moment, because they're trying to attack, but it is coming back so quickly, and the efficiency of Port Adelaide has improved up to 69% now.
And even Port Adelaide's speed once the ball hits the ground, just one to get on the loose ball, and then they've got support, they use their hands, and it's really difficult to defend from West Coast's point of view.
Flynn knocks this one down. Butters, it was Watkins in fact playing in front of Graham, ended up with Harley Reid, handball to the ruckman. Worried out of it was Flynn. Quick hands from Watkins, back to Aaliyah. Bit of a raffle there on centre wing, but Mead ended up with it. Goes inside the forward 50, and finally an intercept possession there for the Eagles. Ends up with Young. Dangerous ball to centre half back, but they're going to work it by hands and with some run. Good tackle in the middle of the ground. Ball in dispute. Working hard here is Port Adelaide, trying to get it back inside the forward 50, but a couple of Eagles jump on top in the centre circle, and we'll have a ball up. Port leading by 25 points.
Even that kick-off half-back, I know it's risky, but they took a bit of a chance through the middle. Nearly came off for the Eagles.
Flynn down to Reid, who again barges his way out of the stoppage, brushing off Willem Drew, which is no easy task. The kick on the bounce to Waterman, who arcs around from centre half forward, pulls the trigger and misses to the right. West Coast are on the board at least, are behind Port Adelaide 4-1-25. 9 played in the opening term. Cal on the text line says West Coast haven't even had time for breakfast yet.
I didn't used to eat a lot of breakfast when I played.
At right half back, Mead kicks it down the line. Beautifully read there by McCarthy. Takes a centre half. Takes the intercept mark on the logo. Switching play now to Ginby at centre half back.
I don't mind this play, Tom.
Takes a step inside onto that left boot. Goes inside the forward 50. The only man flying for that footy was the debutant in Lai. Takes intercept mark at centre half back. Got some run out of defence.
Looks good.
Does look good so far. Kicks down the line towards Drew. Fits it away. It's going to be a free kick against.
Not sure that was there either.
It's Graham. So for the chop of the arms, goes short to Watkins, who's been very busy early. Just on the edge of the centre square. Outer side of the ground. It's barely 15 metres. The umpire agrees, and it put Drew under a lot of pressure. Handballed it straight to Kelly. The turnover's on. Can the West Coast Eagles get some run? And missed handball, but behind the play, Watkins gave away a free kick to Duggan. So West Coast will get an opportunity to reset at right half back, trailing by 24 points.
Tell you what, Watkins has absolutely started on fire. His physicality around the footy, he's had 5 disposals and had a real influence on the first part of this game.
Eagles look to switch. Duggan back. Young. And now Lindsay in his second game. Poor kick. Up to half back. Shanahan waited an eternity. It's cut off. Gathered Snap from Berry, 45 out, misses to the right. Gee, Port had the numbers and they swarmed on that slow exit. And off the turnover, Berry can't cash in. Port Adelaide back up by 25 points, 11 minutes into the opening term on ABC Sport.
We talk about reading the cues in defence. Berry was outstanding there, wasn't he? Yeah. Saw the kick, came forward, intercept mark, just needed to finish the goal.
Not going to get much better opportunities than that as a small forward on your left foot. So West Coast bring it out of defence. Flying at it was Live, fisted down. Jones tries to gather. Yo's got him there for company with a big tackle, and we'll have a ball up. Left half back for the Eagles, trailing by 25 points. Just the two inside 50s to 9. Sweet started well in the ruck. That kick from Kelly was smothered by Watkins, but by hands, they're working it well now, the Eagles. Up forward, looking for Reid, who takes the mark. That's Archer Reid, handballs it off, running inside the forward 50. We've got a flying shot on goal. That looks good. That is a fantastic finish from Bo Allen on the left boot, and the Eagles finally get a response, a much-needed one. Some good connecting play. They go to 1-1-7. Porter 4-2, 26, 12 and a half minutes gone in the first quarter for ABC Sport.
I was trying to pick up who actually kicked it. Was Harry Schoenberg's kick was an absolute belter that got it over the top to the half forward, and then just the space that then opened up for West Coast, and Port Adelaide defensively just caught out of position. Really good transition from West Coast.
And it was a terrific ground ball. I think it was West Coast. I think it was Lindsay that just beelined the ball and then started the handball chain. And talk about the modern game and being able to score off turnover. West Coast were outstanding then. Speed on the ball, really, really difficult to defend.
Down 19 at the moment after conceding the first 4 goals, West Coast. Tossed up in the middle. Tapped down towards Willem Drew. And a free kick going Port Adelaide's way. They'll take the advantage. Drew blazes away. Drives it inside 50. Georgiades. Gee, he made Jinby look like his play toy. Just threw him aside and easily took the mark. It's going to be a tough afternoon for young Ruben, who had to match up against Nick Larkey last week and now has Mitch Georgiades, who's fresh off a career-best season.
Well, the thing about that is if you're going to lose a centre bounce, you have to force them wide. They can't be streaming full face of goal and putting the defenders under the pump like they did on that occasion.
Georgiades is an emerging forward, still coming off some injuries, but did all the work early to be able to get himself in the right position. On
a 24-game goal streak, the best in the league. Mitch Georgiades off a couple of steps, has his first of the afternoon, and all of West Coast's hard work unravelled. Port back up by 25 points. 5-2-32, plays 1-1-7, 14 minutes into the opening term. Kim and Allison are listening in from Sri Lanka and have texted in on ABC Sport saying it's breakfast time here too, and we're up and about. Loving the speed of Port Adelaide's game and enjoying the call. Thanks for tuning in, Kim and Allison. And Elle as well says good morning from Perth. I wonder if Collingwood or any of the Victorian-based teams would be forced to play at 9:30am. Disgraceful scheduling by the AFL.
Actually, one thing I will say before they throw this ball up in the centre, Jack Lukosius actually did that pretty well then. He thought he had his name all over it, saw that Georgiades was there and pulled out of the contest very, very late to allow Georgiades to take the mark. Port Adelaide, they're looking threatening.
Yeah, 12 goal scorers last week, Port Adelaide, and already have 4 in this first quarter, with Jack Whitlock has 2.
Whitlock's in the ruck now, Jamo, and that one's knocked down.
Interesting as well, Burgoyne spending some time in the centre bounce, obviously looking for a bit of speed in there, Josh Carr.
Whitlock v Duff Tyler. Quick handball to Graham, and he had Berry and company, just got the handball away in time. Baker goes underground to Schonberg, goes the 1-2. Surging forward, handball to Kelly. Gets past one tackle in the end. Ware got a hand in there to stop it. Radaglia takes on the tackle, gets through the contest. Lie again, handballs to Drew at left half back. Throws it on the left boot, in front was Jinby. Falling back, a good smothered ball there by Burn-Jones. Baker did well to clear it up. The goal kicker, Allen, now goes inside the forward 50, but he was tackled when he kicked it, and it goes out of bounds on the full. Port get the free kick at left half back.
That was a little dicey there. As he's kicked it, Burn-Jones has come to bump him, and in mid-air, Bo Allen's been able to adjust and almost shoulder charge him, so it could have been quite dangerous. Both players have bobbled up okay, but he's a hard bull, young Bo Allen. Down the line go Port Adelaide, flying as Shanahan slipped through his mitts. Joe Richards is waiting, left half forward, spins, and honoured the lead of Jack Lukosius just couldn't take it on the chest, had Brady Hoff right behind him. Ball pinballing around now, but kept in the play. Whitlock got it out wide, and Ware tried his best to send it inside 50, but has just walked it over. So boundary throw in front of the Rashudo stand. Port by 25 points at the moment on ABC Sport.
West Coast really struggling with Port's pressure. I reckon Port's speed to close and pressure the ball carrier. They can't get any clean ball. They might get the first or second or third handball away, but the pressure and work rate from Port Adelaide has been outstanding, and they're cashing in off the back of that.
They're smothered 2 or 3 times already, haven't they?
Yep.
That was a terrible throw-in.
Unusual.
They're going to have to do that again. They missed the target by a good 10 metres. Tim Kelly was standing there and obviously was watching the ruckman. It nearly hit him in the head.
Because you're not allowed to grab it, are you? Like the rucks are going to be the first to touch.
Better one this time. Duff Tyler, the young gun, knocks it down. Ware sockers it off the deck. Durden was there, probably tackled without it, but play on, says the umpire. And Baker, his quick kick out of defence just goes out of bounds on the full.
Well, Gemmo, inside 50s 12-3. They're getting a lot of repeat entries off the back of that pressure from Port Adelaide in that example then.
Double the distance, metres gained.
Yeah.
Butters to Burgoyne, who's going to unload from 40 or 55 metres out and spin perfectly. And West Coast defenders gone up very hard against the behind post there. And Georgiades too, in the end. A bit winded there. The start forward for the Power.
Meeting the sandwich with the goalpost, I think.
Shanahan was
the one who actually got bashed into it harder. Tossed in Port's 50. Duff Tytler wins it down. Quick tackle laid. Just trying to break away with the footy.
And Port Adelaide,
Shanahan.
Sorry, Aaron, Port Adelaide set up really well behind the ball. Adelaide, Aaliyah is the +1.
Duff Tytler again wins it straight to Baker again, engulfed. Another ball up to come, 20 out.
Aaliyah playing that wicket-keeper role, waiting for that loose ball to come out.
Port by 25. Finally one down by Whitlock, gave it to Drew, but he handed it straight back to the Eagles, and another crunching tackle laid. They gained a little bit of ground there. We're back to 30 out from Port Adelaide's goal. West Coast under a fair bit of pressure. Duggan gets off the deck. Duff Tytler taps it down, swatting it back towards the arc. Ware was waiting, though, for the Power. Centres his kick, 15 out. High bounce. They wait an eternity for it. Berry knocks it down, trying to get it out wide. McKinlay was there. Whitlock becomes the tackler. One out by West Coast, rather. Lindsay gets it out to Davis. Then Hoff backtracking to Shanahan, who thumps it out towards the centre square. A couple of power plays fired, but the ricochet goes West Coast way. Waterman smashed. Big tackle, turnover. Mead got him. Lai gets it to Butters. Back inside 50. Whitlock's on the march. Juggled, knocked away late by Hoff. Gang tackle laid as they wrap up Hamish Davis. Ball up to come right half forward. West Coast just trying to get out of defensive 50, but it keeps coming back.
Yeah, Port Adelaide strangling them at the moment with pressure.
Quick hands from Robertson to Kelly, and waiting back there for the Power, trying to keep it in, doing his best. There was Brody. And he works it now. Goes the 1-2 to Jones. That was off his ankle. Yeah, probably more his knee. Durden grabs it though at centre half forward. And he took on the tackler. And that's holding the ball. Fantastic pressure there from the Eagles.
Baker.
Led by their skipper. That was great work there. He kicks it out to right half back.
Probably the first pressure win from the West Coast Eagles. Now they need to make something of it with ball movement.
McCarthy to Graham, and now up to centre wing. Mark taken by Jamie Cripps, far from home in front of the Bashir stand.
Did you enjoy being back in the box, Josh, yesterday?
I didn't mind it. Three-quarter time I didn't know, but at the end of the game I was all right.
Cripps went down the line and kicked it straight out on the full. Context for Josh Franco fans, he's leading North Adelaide this year, and they were down 5 goals at three-quarter time and won it yesterday against Centrals.
On the Ponderosa, a big over.
Big deck out there.
It's the biggest in South Australia, I think, isn't it?
Yep.
Bigger than Adelaide Oval.
So the Port free kick, Ware on the 45 instep. Hits up Kane Farrell, now closer towards the centre square. Watkins releases Whitlock, and then Butters. Short trap down the line to Berry, and Butters kept going on the run. Chips his kick up towards the 50. Richards will take it, turn on a dime, sends it back towards 50. Whitlock will rise, knocked away from him through for a minor score. Port Adelaide up by 26 points. 5-3-33 plays 1-1-7. Time on in the opening term.
Aaron, you'll appreciate this. I reckon Zach Butters is the Bryce Cotton of the AFL. His ability, don't you reckon? His ability under pressure to change the angle of the kick, his skill execution is phenomenal.
All agility, isn't it?
Yep, he's phenomenal. And you know what? He's about the same height as Bryce as well.
So McCarthy from defence. Kicks up forward. Yeah, it was a free kick in that marking contest. It's going to go the way of Newton.
Still don't mind that from, was it Jacob? Mead?
McCarthy.
Jackson Mead.
Yeah, in defence.
Yeah, I don't mind that. That sort of builds pressure and perceived pressure on the West Coast Eagles, that physicality.
Oh, Newton's kick's poor. Lands in the lap of Butters in the centre circle. Give him time. Looks up forward to Burn Jones at centre half forward, and he wants the free kick. He's going to get it. Pushing the back from Duggan.
Deserves it given he got knocked out of his boot.
I think what Port Adelaide have done well so far in this quarter is they're actually that kick inside 50 has almost nailed every player, haven't it?
So Burn Jones thinks his kick's going to the right because he's only got one shoe on, but it's actually directly in front.
The other thing that happens as well is that, the pressure of Port Adelaide on the West Coast Eagles, you almost see the confidence drain out of them. They're not really sure when they've got ball in hand. Their ball movement, they're forced long down the line, and then, as I said, it's coming back with interest, and Port Adelaide just strangling them at the moment.
Oh, there's some players getting very close there in that zone. Hear the jeers from the crowd. Burn Jones takes on the man on the mark, runs to 45 and kicks an absolute sandbag forward.
Yeah, that's really selfish.
That wasn't it? Yep. Premeditated too, wasn't it, Gemmo?
Yeah.
So Bo Allen got the intercept mark in the back pocket and goes short to Jinby.
The 21 inside 50s in the first quarter against Essendon last week. They're currently sitting at 15. West Coast only have the 3.
Port by 26. It's Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Voices of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco, your experts. Down the line go the Eagles, but it's coming straight back. A flurry of bodies come together, and one out by Aliir. He goes back to Radagalier. Now Jacob Ware spinning away from Bo Allen, shoots the handball. Zigging and zagging is Jack Watkins, getting away from Elliot Yeo. Kicks a little hot towards Burn Jones, who waited at the back. The hand tapped it down towards McCarthy, though. Back to Bo Allen for the Eagles. Hoff out to Graham. Down the eastern wing he goes, and Radagalier gets in front of Elliot Yeo, who waited an eternity for the kick. Takes it in front of the Bashir stand. Port by 26. Now looking to switch it across half back.
It's with Horn Francis. Ooh. Dangerous ball, and flying at that one was Butters, who came down hard. Porter still managing to get it forward through Aliir. Going inside the forward 50 up towards Georgiades, who marks it left half forward about 45 metres out. His opponent's Shanahan, who was so good up forward for the Eagles last week, and he's got the job on Georgiades. Difficult for a young player to be switching at both ends, but that's going to be part of his development, no doubt.
Possibly Jinby started on him, so Georgiades has been lively, presented well. He's kicked a 1 goal. This is right in his wheelhouse, though, isn't it?
And again, going back at the two contrasting bits of ball movement, West Coast Eagles look really unsure with ball in hand, but Port Adelaide switching the ball, opening up the ground and connecting inside 50.
In comes Georgiades. It's good connection, but he just pushes it away to the right-hand side. Minus score. Port go to 5-4-34. West Coast 1-1-7. 24 and a half minutes gone in this first quarter for ABC Sport.
And that's a bit of pressure of the game as well. As we mentioned, Port Adelaide's pressure's been outstanding.
Tom McCarthy brings it back in.
And this is where they've got to take the ball off the line if they can. He's got one in the 45 but didn't take it. Can't just keep playing like this long down the line.
Pocket to Lindsay, who's got disposal number 6 now on return in his second game. Heads back towards the benches. Players converge, and at the back is Farrell, who skies one. Hard hit. Racing out of the 50. Corey Dern just flung himself into Tom McCarthy, who's bobbled up okay and waves to the benches. Meanwhile, tackle laid, ball up. That was almost a car crash, but both players are unscathed. Tossed up, sweet with a double tap. Only found Willem Dersma. His first touch uses Jack Graham, who kicks it out on the foot. Rushed it out of the stoppage. Radagalier will take the free kick. Mentioned the 36ers earlier, Josh. So we're calling Game 3 of the Championship Series this afternoon, 2:30 Eastern Daylight Time on ABC Sport Extra.
Is that back in Sydney?
It is. Brett Sprigg will be there alongside Ben Knight. Dave on the text line says, good afternoon, team. Looking forward to Port Adelaide's performance, and hopefully the 36ers can give it the best shot. So Dave, a local here in South Australia. Short pass, Radagalier to Farrell, and now out to the eastern side, Jack Watkins, who's also finding a lot of the footy. Disposal 8. Poor one. Check the kick out towards the attacking edge. It was just the required 15, but Davis gets in front and is bowled over for his efforts. Free kick West Coast. They're down 27 points.
Harley Reid is bouncing the ball centre wing out of side. A few little boos there from Port fans.
Poor kick.
It was a poor kick for Cripps. Farrell's able to fist that out over the boundary line. We'll have it thrown right half forward for the Eagles. They're trailing by 27 points. They conceded the first 4 goals of the game inside 8 minutes.
The time in possession, 54% to 31. So
they've got an extra behind the ball as well at the moment, the Eagles.
So Butters is in there doing the hard work. Tackled long enough. Which
means Aaliyah's free for Port Adelaide, and it just keeps coming back.
So Sweet v Flint. Sweet knocks it straight down to Robertson, who's tackled by Horne-Francis. And then the umpire's quick to do this all again. We're on the right corner point of the centre square. Port Adelaide leading by 27 points.
6 marks to 0 inside 50s. Port Adelaide.
Out of the ruck tap, it bobbles its way forward for Port Adelaide. Baker's there for the Eagles, though. Hot handball as he shoots it out wide. Robertson gets it to McCarthy. Screws the kick inside 50. Radaglia had so much height on his opponents. Flew over the top of Jamie Cripps, takes the intercept mark. Quickly switches to Berg, one who played on, lost the footy. Under a bit of pressure, did well. Gets it to Lockie Jones, then Lai. He's settled right in. Little 1-2, the give and go, and shoots the handball forward to Horne-Francis. They're out here, Port Adelaide. Horne-Francis down the line, was looking for Georgiades, buffeted it off it, but Berry was streaming by and shoots the kick to Whitlock, who marched out of the centre, the goal square, I should say, and takes it 20 from home, 45 to the right.
That's a training drill, isn't it? All set up from the +1 behind the ball for Port Adelaide, able to intercept the footy and then go back with interest in their ability to use the ball by foot and hand through the middle of the ground, Port Adelaide, and understanding that they've got the +1 West Coast, so they've got extra numbers behind the ball, but didn't panic, didn't blaze. Great composure, Port.
2 goals round 1, a point last week, and Whitlock has 2-1 now for the afternoon as he misses to the right of a short approach. Port Adelaide's up by 28 points as we close in on quarter time. 5-5-35 plays 117. Text line this afternoon 0437 774 774. We've got the Blues and the D's to come later today to wrap up round 2 on ABC Sport.
Lindsay brings it back in for West Coast, and the ball falls out the back. Didn't get a nice bounce though, Archer Reid, but they're going to work their way through. Harley Reid over the top to Yo. Can it sit for him? He knocks it forward to the number 1 pick in Dersma. 1-2, 55 metres out. He kicks a squib kick. Dribbler. Goal. Elliot Yo. I think the intent was there. The execution, well, it's all about results when it comes to goals. Josh Franco, 2-1-13, 5-5-35 Port Adelaide.
I'm looking at champion data. I can't see anything that says a squib kick.
It should be on there.
It should be on there. That was unbelievable.
It was almost like a backward screw punt or something, wasn't it, too? Like it's almost hit with the inside of his... But I think the positive thing about that was just the way they kept the footy alive and kept it moving forward. It wasn't clean. Harley Reid involved. Yo on a couple of occasions too. The space was out the back. I thought the kick might have gone a little left, but once again, no marks inside forward 50 to West Coast. Only 5 inside 50s. But, geez, didn't they need that? And
probably the first long down the line contest they've actually won and scored off the back of it.
Port by 22. The Eagles looking for a couple late. Tap down. Harley Reid. The fend off on Horne-Francis. Bombs it long, and Aaliyah gets back in time. Takes the intercept mark at the top of the defensive goal square.
I just love that in the middle.
Yeah.
But the kick was poor, wasn't it?
Showing a lot of promise, Harley Reid off a career-high 30 touches. Aaliyah sends it to right half back. Throw a blanket over them. Fist comes in. Knocked down, head over the footy. Tyler Young tries to paddle it to Tim Kelly, and he's set upon. Holding the ball. Free kick, Port Adelaide at right half back.
Tim Kelly, 4 disposals. Tom McCarthy leading the way with 8.
I was just thinking, I hadn't seen a lot of him, but he's actually had a fair few in comparison to the rest of his teammates, Tim Kelly.
Liam Baker is the 7, along with Josh Lindsay, also the 7.
Burgoyne went short to Brodie. Still enough time if they move it quick here, Port. Goes inboard to Jones.
Got Aaliyah on the open side if he looks.
15 seconds remaining. Just hold him up, West Coast. Get him down the line.
Got the 30-second sign up from the power bench. Down the line here towards Sweet, almost gathered and pinched away there by Berry, and it goes out over the boundary line. So the dying seconds of this first quarter, one that Port Adelaide really has dominated. 10 scoring shots to 3, leading by 22 points. A couple of missed opportunities in there.
So they'll be a little bit disappointed with the margin, Port Adelaide.
probably would like a 30-point margin. More is always more, and that's the quarter-time siren here at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide leading by 22 points, 5-5-35. West Coast 2-1-13. Sunday footy for ABC Sport.
It was a rough start for the visitors in what is the earliest game in their history. Their body clocks were at 9:30 when they leaked the first 4 goals of the game. 2-1 very late, and as Tom said, the margin now is 22 points. Goal scorers 2 to Whitlock, singles to Lukosius, Georgiades and Watkins. For the Eagles, Elliot Yeo continuing his good start. He's 5 straight for the year, has won this afternoon, and Bo Allen had his first as well at AFL level. So 5-5-35 plays 2-1-13. It's great to have your company on ABC Local Radio, News Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen for Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Exciting, rule-breaking, shaping who we are.
When the song was released, it was banned.
Inspiring arts in When the War is Over, Take 5 with Zan Rowe and the new season of The Piano.
It's fabulous.
Creativity and so much more on ABC iView.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Gathered by Watkins, who sends it back in the forward 50 for Port. Duggan again coming over the top, and well, Lukosius was met hard by Baker. Falls in the lap of Watkins, who unloads from 50, and he slotted it.
Hot footy, bounces its way back to Burgoyne though. Burne-Jones pushed as he kicked it, still well weighted. Hits Georgiades on the paint of 50. They've got the overlap and he'll share it to Whitlock. Whitlock comes in and has 2 in the opening quarter.
Working it well now, the Eagles. Up forward, looking for Reid, who takes the mark. That's Archer Reid, handballs it off, running inside the forward 50. We've got a flying shot on goal. That looks good. That is a fantastic finish from Bo Allen. Ball falls out the back. Didn't get a nice bounce though, Archer Reid, but they're going to work their way through. Harley Reid over the top to Yeo. Can it sit for him? He knocks it forward to the number 1 pick in Dersma. 1-2, 55 metres out. He kicks a squib kick. Dribbler. Goal. Elliot Yeo.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
and ABC Listen.
Hot start from the Power as they look to string together consecutive victories in the Josh Carr era. They're up by 22 points at the first break over West Coast. 5-5-35 plays 2-1-13. Aaron Bryans and Tom Wilson calling the action for you on ABC Sport alongside Premiership Crow Rod Jamieson and 4-time Showdown medalist, the senior coach at North Adelaide, Josh Franco. News of the day, if you're just joining us as well, the AFL has confirmed that the start time of the grand final for this year and for next year will remain at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. So day grand final to stick until Tasmania enters the league, and then they'll make their adjustments. But it does make you wonder if that means we might not be seeing Kylie Minogue in September. We'll find out, I'm sure, across the next few months. But the grand final locked in, and you don't have to worry about your AFL bingo card anymore. I think you can cross that off in terms of talking points. Jamo, Josh, what did you make of the first quarter in which Port Adelaide kicked the first 4 goals on West Coast before they finally turned up and got into the game?
I think if you're Josh Carr, you'd probably be a little bit disappointed. You'd be happy how the game's unfolding, be a little bit disappointed with the margin, only 22 points. In terms of the dominance that Port Adelaide, with field position, their ability to connect inside forward 50, they missed some really easy opportunities in front of goal. So I guess, as I said, the message to the playing group would be really positive, but just make the most of the opportunities when they get them in front of goal. Some of the key numbers, 35-29 contested ball. The ground ball gets Port Adelaide, they're winning the tackle count, they're +1. But as I said, the big discrepancy in numbers is the inside 50, so that's 17-6. From West Coast Eagles' point of view, they need to start moving the ball off the line by foot. They're just playing long down the line, which is playing into Port Adelaide's hands. And they need to deal with Port Adelaide's pressure better, because the Power's pressure around the footy, their ability to close time and space with speed and get pressure on the ball. West Coast have really struggled with that. And as I said, throughout that first quarter, it looked like their confidence got sapped a little bit. They weren't brave with the ball, and it was playing right into Port Adelaide's hands. So McQualter, dare say the message would be in terms of ball movement, but also just in terms of how the game's unfolding, they need to deal with Port Adelaide's physicality and their pressure a lot better. A bit more composure with ball in hand, but Port Adelaide and Josh Carr's message would be more of the same.
I think they need to defend better, and they probably did as the quarter went on. West Coast, they were too loose early. Their disposal was poor. Their efficiency was mid-30s. But as the quarter's gone on, it's ended up 66% to Port Adelaide, 61% to West Coast. But that kick inside 50, I think, like that Harley Reid fended off Jason Horne-Francis and then just bombs it long and hopes that someone's going to take a mark down in the square. And Alir and Sava Radaglia were able to do that. So marks inside 50 is of concern already. 8 to Port Adelaide, none to West Coast. Tom McCarthy with the 8 disposals too. So for me, it's really, you've touched on the ball movement and how they move the footy, but also just maintaining possession at the moment is really difficult. And to your point, Josh, the pressure that is being applied by Port Adelaide, and when they do turn it over, it just goes back straight over their head. So there's multiple areas that they need to improve. If any indication of last week against the Kangaroo, let's see if they can do the same. They outscored Kangaroos 4-5 to 2 goals in the second quarter. I think you'd be hoping for a repeat effort.
And one of the pleasing things from Port Adelaide's perspective is their prime movers. Butters, 9 disposals that quarter. Drew had 9 touches. Watkins was outstanding. He's really surprised me just in terms of his ability to impact the play through physicality and speed, and he was outstanding in that first quarter as well.
The uncontested too, Port Adelaide 20 more than West Coast. So once they get hold of the footy, they're running rings around them.
So maybe Josh Carr's found some sort of temporary solution for the injury to Connor Rosie, who's out for 3 months with a torn hamstring tendon. On the text line, Ron from Adelaide says, why didn't they swap the 2 games around today when they did the draw? This is very unfair to West Coast. So Carlton and Melbourne have come around 3 p.m. Eastern at the MCG. Andrew Dillon said the reason was they wanted to get the Eagles back on a plane to Perth because they've got a 6-day turnaround, Saturday game next week. But I laughed at that because Adelaide played 2 back-to-back 6-day turnaround games against Geelong, who were fresh off the bye on Thursday. And there is no evenness in the fixture, so I don't buy that for a second. I think it was just an oversight. Tapped down by Matt Flynn. Dev Robertson overrunning the footy in game 50, picked up by Butters, gave it to Drew, spun in the washing machine, turned it over, but Yo's wrapped up, and we'll get a ball up just outside the centre circle. It's Port by 22 to start the second quarter on ABC Sport.
Would have they asked West Coast about that or not? Clearly not.
What about the start time?
Yeah.
They probably thought, 12 Eastern, that's fine, but didn't even think about the WA body clock. Out of the stoppage, quick kick forward for West Coast. Logan Evans comes out and is crunched for his troubles. Free kick against Jake Waterman. And Evans now looks to swing it to the broadcast swing. He'll place it in the path of Alir.
Takes on the tackler. Oh, jumped on his back there, Newton.
Well done.
That's a good win for West Coast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, poor kick from Logan Evans, but that's a really good win.
Got a hold of his jumper and wouldn't let go, so Newton wins the free kick, goes inside the forward 50. Waterman flies. Players roving at the front of the pack. Hoff. It was Cripps, in fact, who laid the tackle and will get a ball up 35 metres out.
Jacob Newton was one of the players that debuted last year, only in his 5th game today.
Sweet knocks it down towards Butters. Gets a quick handball to Lie. Off to Farrell, who just bangs it on that left foot. Across the ground. Lands in the lap of Lukosius at right half back. He's not going to waste any time. Unloads on that beautiful right foot down the line into some space. Hit the chest of Horne-Francis. Ginby's there. He won the 1-on-2 for a moment, Horne-Francis. Handballed it forward towards Georgiades. He caught one high. And it was very much a keenness there from Joe Berry to take the advantage. He ran through and kicked the goal, but they're going to bring it all the way back to Horne-Francis, 45 metres out, 45-degree angle.
What about that kick from Lukosius to Horne-Francis? That's his weapon, isn't it? That's his one wood. Just put it out the space. It was a 1-on-1, but kicked it advantage side over his head. And almost Falcon.
I hit him on the chest.
Yeah, hit him on the chest. He probably should have marked the ball, but
we had Lauren Arnell last week, and she said around the club when Lukosius hits it, it's like a ball strike of a 2-iron.
Yeah, flushes it. Yeah. So Horne-Francis, it's his opportunity to hit the scoreboard. Was so good against the Bombers last week and fooled everyone there, but his kick just had too much on it, and it was intercepted by McCarthy, who's on the run. Throws it on the right boot, kicks it out towards the wing. Port have the numbers if they can get it to ground. Working hard again there was Newton. Great second effort. Alir on hands and knees. Handballs to Butters. He kicks in hope up towards the forward line. Flying was Georgiades. Waiting out the back was Whitlock. Handballs it off to Lukosius, and we were just talking about what a kick he is. He was 15 metres out, no pressure, when a short snap and missed to the right. 5-6-36. West Coast 2-1-13, 3 minutes gone, second term.
Jack Whitlock, you actually had all the authority to actually kick that. And he should have kicked it, shouldn't he?
Talk about not being switched on, but it
Not
feels
there.
like Port Adelaide's slow starting in the second quarter, just mucking around with West Coast. Exiting kick from the Eagles is coming back. Butters to Burgoyne. Berry drives a bullet pass low to the slips catch of Georgiades, who skids his way 40 out into the mark. Speaking of which, while we're making golf references and I just went a cricket one, the Sheffield Shield final's on. If you want to hear our coverage, cricket button on ABC Listen. South Australia 7 for 204 on day 4. Lead is 141 runs. So Alex Carey's saving them right now with Nathan McAndrew batting at 9. They're putting together an 82-run partnership at the moment. So South Australia's got a bit of a heartbeat, but Victoria probably on top.
Get 200. You never know. It doesn't
Never
look like
know.
easy batting conditions at the Junction Oval. Very cold too.
ABC Listen cricket button for the Sheffield Shield final. Mitch Georgiades starts on the fence, left half forward, comes in, and that is a splendid kick. 2 for Georgiades. Port's up by a game high 29 points. 6-6-42, plays 2-1-13. 4 minutes into the second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Jamo, if I'm McQualter, Zach Butters is worrying me in terms of his influence on the game. He's already had 13 disposals, he's had 3 clearances, and he, as we've seen time and time again, is threatening to be the game breaker, or already is currently. I think it's about time you might need to turn the screws and clamp him down to nullify his influence, because he's running right at the moment.
Well, Harley Reid went to him at the start of this second quarter, and now there's been a bit of a change. Where's Butters gone now?
He's inside.
He's
Gonna
inside.
bounce. Yeah.
Robertson's got him at the moment,
Robertson's got him.
Jammer.
Yeah.
Sweet with a perfect hit out straight down to Watkins, who kicks it inside the forward 50. Knocked away by Hoff. In goes Horn, Francis and Duggan. Duggan wins out. Spins in the tackle nicely. Taking on the tackle, though, was Hoff. That's going to be holding the ball.
And there's a little bit of Essendon about it too. You're just referring the pressure to another player and a teammate who doesn't have the opportunity to break free or get a disposal away.
Drew inside 50, Flynn backtracking, got it down for the Eagles. Willem Dersma out wide, and Duggan now exits to the eastern wing. One-on-one, Radaglia caught behind and impedes his opponent. Duff Tytler gets the footy.
This is where it's breaking down. They need to maintain possession through here.
Short pass to Hoff, who's trying to direct traffic, at least open up some space. Eventually gets the central kick to Liam Baker.
Agree, Jamo, and avoid going long down the line.
So they've actually had 4 kicks now and probably gone back about 40, 50 metres, and here they are transitioning out wide once again.
So through defensive 50, Baker went to Duggan. Now Young up to right half back. Dersma has it now.
It's just too easy to defend.
That's the kick.
a better kick.
This is the dangerous one on the 45, and he hits it well. Harley Reid turns, spots Schonberg in front of the benches. Calling for a lead. He's just behind right half forward. Schonberg plays on. Screws his kick across the body. Dev Robertson put it down, but Nader Men's on the bounce. Hands it to Harley Reid. Loops it forward into the 50. An awkward bounce for Cripps, but he'll leave it in the end. Schonberg kept tracking, and a central kick as he squares it up to Waterman. That was a good football awareness moment from Harry Schonberg at his new club.
That's what you're really looking for. That's what we're talking about Port Adelaide in the first quarter. Josh doing that when they go forward. That's their first mark inside 50. He could have blazed away and well within his rights to have a shot, but to Waterman out in front. Great kick. Good vision.
Just the 8 games last year for the 2024 All-Australian. Jake Waterman has been a handy addition in the side early. Comes in, gets close to the man on the mark, but booms it through the big sticks into the Riverbank stand. And West Coast have one back in the second quarter. Margin down to 23. Eagles 3-1-19. Port Adelaide 6-6-42. 7 minutes into the second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport with Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco.
And the goal there to Waterman was set up by their ball movement, Jamo. You've talked about maintaining possession. They did take it off the line. We thought potentially there was a slow switch and get pinned in, but I can't remember what it was, but the 45 kick in front of us, it's a risky kick, but a brave kick. It came off, changed the angle of the kick, and they looked a lot more threatening.
Yeah,
Willem
Dersma.
Dersma.
Yeah, right. That was outstanding, and that's the risk they've got to take. They can't keep kicking long down the line because they're getting absolutely torched there at the moment, West Coast. So no doubt that was a message from the coaching staff. Good play.
This is the difference now. So 15 kicks, 4 handballs, 19 disposals. So even with Port, but going at 93%, which with that passage of play just highlighted.
Watkins did so well to McKinlay. It ends up in the hands of Butters, and Port fans would love that. And he hit the mitts. of Georgiades, who dropped a sitter. He would have had a shot on goal. So the Eagles mop up. Dersmont tries to take on Ware. Pushed into a pocket, the back pocket.
Terrific kick.
But that was a terrific kick to Drac Graham at right half back. Worked it well, did the young gun again.
You can see why he was pick one, Willem Dersma. He's just finding space when there isn't any. Graham up to the broadcast wing. Eagles trail by 23. Free kick before the ball even lands in the pack.
Pretty soft, really, wasn't it? But
Holding free kick against Aaliyah. It'll go the way of Shanahan. Just forward of right half back.
Has to look lateral here. Nothing on, just long down the line again.
Heads up to right half forward. 3-on-3 awaits. Fist comes from Radaglia and lands in the lap of Lockie Jones. Breaks inside. And on the instep, sends it back where it came from. Good body use by Tyler Young against Darcy Byrne-Jones, the former Tiger, who has had a win at the Adelaide Oval. Not many have in this list right now. Uses Liam Duggan. Down the line he goes. Graham to Lindsay. Long bomb. Gee, that had plenty of acreage. He'd be carried all the way to the goal face.
Waterman fell over.
Radaglia gathers, gives it out, and the exiting kick might come straight back in. The Eagles have numbers. Baker breaks to 40, gives it to Flynn, who rode the contact of Butters, uses Waterman, snaps from 30 and misses to the right-hand side. Bit of heart in the Eagles right now. They're down 22, and we've played 9 minutes in the second term.
At least they've arrested momentum, Jamo.
Yeah.
Again, through a bit of control with ball movement and setting up pretty well behind the footy.
Zach Butters just came flying in. Matt Flynn just stood there and he bounced off him.
Jackson Mead's got a left half back for Port Adelaide. Father son pick plays on. Kicks down the line towards Georgiades. He doesn't drop that one. And was bumped late there by Harley Reid. Umpire says all part of it. So no 50-metre penalty. He's got a defensive side of centre wing. Short to Drew.
Got a leer on the open side. Sorry, Tom.
And I think he's going to end up with it at 1 point. So Radaglia first at centre half back. Farrell points out to it. So ends up with Aaliyah now. Found out that was going to happen 20 seconds ago from our expert Josh Franco. Short to Richards. And Aaliyah's knocked over off the ball by Yo. Short to McKinlay, centre wing. Asked to play on. Puts the Jets on. We know he can move his feet quickly. Goes long towards Sweet, trying to keep this one is Durden. Does, knocks it to Byrne-Jones. Goes the 1-2. This would be a special goal. He thought about handing it off. He can run in the whole way, Corey Durden. That's what you call reward for effort. Port Adelaide get their second of the second term. Well done, Corey Durden. 7-6-48, West Coast 3-2-20. 11 minutes gone in the second term for ABC Sport.
When you think West Coast is starting to come back or arrest the ascendancy, they just allow something that's really easy to happen, and certainly the defence, just the pressure that Port Adelaide are applying, the good teams, they come at you from the front, and you have to make a decision to either handball or kick and just bomb long. And there was just no pressure there. He evaded Corey Durden, and then took a bounce, and the goal was too easy.
And Port Adelaide's ability to spread the ground once again with their ball movement. We saw Aaliyah was on the open side. They looked to switch the ball through Radaglia, and then it's really difficult to defend. Ahead of the ball, Port Adelaide's forwards were moving with speed, and in the end finished with a major.
Port by 28. Archer Reid into the ruck, wins it down. Tracked the footy as well. Put his head over it. Nearly got clobbered for his efforts by Whitlock. They collapse. Ripped out by Kelly. Gets it to Yo. He blazes away with a long kick towards the 50. 3-on-3. Knocked down by Shanahan. Duff Titler gets the handball to Schomburg. Then Graham pulls the kick out wide. Well placed. Just the required 15. Bo Allen has it. 40 from home. Tight to the right.
That was a terrific kick then from Jack Graham. Under immense pressure, just didn't blaze, but had the composure with heat coming to find Allen.
Ninth game this afternoon for the first round pick, who was injury riddled last year with syndesmosis, but labelled the best WA prospect in the draft at the time. Had his first career goal in the first quarter, and you can jot him down for a double. Flushes it from 50, Bo Allen. Margin back down to 22 points. Port 7-6-48. The Eagles 4-2-26. 12 paid. Second term. It's Sunday footy on ABC Sport with Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco.
He's actually been pretty good. 6 disposals, going at 75%. Uncontested. And actually, in this quarter, it's almost 1 for 1 right across the board at the moment too. So scores, just West Coast, it'd be nice to be able to chain 1 or 2 together if they could. 2 goal, 1 apiece in this second quarter. 7 inside 50s Port, 5 to West Coast.
Well, I guess from West Coast point of view as well, Jamo, they were able to keep the scoreboard in check. The margin was 22 points, hasn't blown out at all, but they're hanging in there, and at least they've wrestled momentum back to some degree.
22 points the margin, back in the middle of the ground. Horn Francis with the clearance. Long inside the forward 50. Georgiades pushed his opponent underneath that one. Handball over the back of his head from McCarthy to Lindsay. Doing well. And Duggan brings it out of defence. At left half back, kicks it up towards Robertson and Horn Francis. Horn Francis takes it out over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in right half forward for the Power. Leading by 22 points, coming up to the halfway mark of this second quarter.
Liam Duggan, just reliable, isn't he, too? 5 disposals in this quarter. Deep in defence. Trusty left foot.
Archie Reid knocks that down towards Watkins and Ware. And goes again with the tackle. And we'll have another ball up. More centre wing now. So gaining some territory there from the ruck contest. Port leader by 22 points.
Archie Reid wrestling with Jack Whitlock, the 2 youngsters, and the Eagle wins out. Davis with a looping handball wide. Robertson too strong for Burgoyne. Sweeping handball forward for the 50-gamer. Bounces its way, though, to Lai, who's caught in the tackle too high. He lost his footing. He was under a lot of pressure. Yo actually got him pretty cleanly, I reckon. It was his teammate coming the other way who's clotheslined him. And in the end, free kick to the debutant for Port Adelaide. Lai sends it back where it came from to the Bashir stand. Jacob Ware, his target. Davis cuts across with a fist and we'll get a boundary throw in.
Just also, Aaron, looking at some of these between the 50 stoppages, we've got a boundary throw in on the outer wing. West Coast are bringing a forward up to the stoppage, which is allowing Port Adelaide to get a +1 behind the footy. So difficult to score in that scenario if they don't have composure coming out of the stoppage.
It's 2 Port Adelaide players beyond the footy now, isn't it?
Reid down to Yo, who high ball inside the forward 50. Elia versus Shanahan, brought to ground and did well, the big fella, the youngster from the Eagles. And they're going to get a ball up deep inside the forward 50. Can they lock it in? Archer Reid knocks it down, goes again, tries to soccer it off the deck. Newton.
So what's the benefit of that, Josh, as a coach? Like, why do you want... I mean, clearly you want to win the footy, but conversely, you got 2 loose defenders sitting in your forward 50.
Worried about the clearance, I would imagine, to get support around the stoppage.
Great hit out from Reid to Graham, but the kick was partially smothered. Evans, he ran into some trouble holding the ball. Just got to get it on the boot. And he was wrapped up in the tackle. We're going to have a shot on goal here to Graham, right up against the paint. Right up against the fence in the left forward pocket.
And what happens there too, Jamo, some sides will bring the spare up to the stoppage as well. Port Adelaide is sitting 1 deep, so if they're going to come out of stoppage and bomb the ball, then it plays into Port Adelaide's hands. So yeah, it's interesting sort of game of cat and mouse, but sending it forward up is to support the stoppage in the mids.
Could be a big moment here for Graham, a huge moment. He steps up and delivers. West Coast are right back in this game. They go to 5-2-32. Port 7-6-48. That's a 16-point margin, 16 minutes gone in the second term.
Well, interestingly as well, looking at some of the numbers, the contested ball count has been closed. The uncontested ball now is in favour of West Coast Eagles this quarter. The inside 50 still in favour of Port Adelaide, but in terms of the KPIs, they've started to even the game up, and as we said, the scoreboard's still manageable, only 3 goals, and Port Adelaide look a little bit flat at the moment.
13 marks to 8 in this quarter again, just an indication that they are maintaining possession and using the football better. They are going wide and around and just making it easier for your teammate.
Similar script to last week, so West Coast the slow starters and then in the second quarter starting to get their rhythm going. Port Adelaide by 16 points on ABC Sport.
Eggs and bacon are tasting a whole lot better now in Perth.
Reid with a double tap down. Yeah, we're getting closer to 10 a.m. now, local time out west. Elliot Yo tracked it off the step. High ball into the 50. The pack collapses. A big collision of bodies off the deck. Duff Tyler rolled it forward and Jack Waterman has got that through for a minor score. Jeez. That was just a pinball. It shot out. Waterman had a quick flash at the goal from 10 out and, missed to the right-hand side.
I think he was closer than that.
Jeez.
I reckon he's 6 metres out.
Head in hands, distraught, and Port Adelaide's lead is just 15 now.
You haven't seen a mullet like that since the 90s.
It's very good. It's like Taylor Walker in that 2012 era at Jamo. Ball goes to centre half forward for the Eagles.
Great kick.
That was a great kick, wasn't it?
Schonberg loves this ground, or knows it well at the very least.
Waterman missed him.
So going inside the forward 50 now. Could have been a chop of the arms against Aaliyah. Roved at the back of the pack there, and they're pretty happy to take this out over the boundary line for Shanahan.
Just say that kick was Josh Lindsay, and I can totally understand now why Eagles fans were incensed that he got dropped after round one, because he's got it. There's talent there.
He's doing very well. Boundary throw in. Another opportunity here for the Eagles. Ev Robertson gets it back to Dersma. Short kick falls in the lap of McKinlay.
Now all of a sudden Port can't move the ball, and they look a little bit sluggish and a little bit flat, dealing with West Coast Eagles pressure, which has ramped up in the scramble.
So McKinlay down the line. Oh,
mark the ball.
Mark the ball. He's had a few good moments here, Archer Reid in the ruck, and he's had an uncontested double fist out of bounds. Boundary throw in.
203 centimetres too.
That's almost insufficient intent. He didn't have anyone around him, and he double-fisted into the front row. Boundary throw in on the broadcast wing. Reid has to make amends. He taps it down looking for Yo. Awkward bounce. They keep fighting for it. Yo, head over the footy. Tries to barge past Will Brodie. He wraps him up in the tackle, and Graham will paddle it over. That'll be another boundary throw in right half forward for West Coast. Currently down 15 points. Text line this afternoon, 0437 774 774. Brendan in Hobart says, wouldn't West Coast be training in the morning during the pre-season? This shouldn't hurt them too much. 9:30am body clock start for them today. Tap down, McCarthy driven in the tackle forward by Durden, and will go again.
They would have been here a couple of days, wouldn't they? Wouldn't have just arrived yesterday?
The story out west was that ever since last week's game against North Melbourne, they'd slowly changed what time they went to bed, so they were 15 minutes earlier every night to try and adjust. Out of the stoppage, down the line go Port Adelaide. Whitlock entangled with Young. It bobbles out. Whitlock to Durden. Kicks it from 55 out. Trying to keep it in play in the left forward pocket, and it's fisted away from Richards. Boundary throwing to come. Northern end, left-hand side of your radio dial as Port look to buck this trend. The Eagles with 3 of the last 4 goals.
Talk about how young this team is, but the experience, how successful they've been for the amount of ground that they have to travel has been incredible.
Sweet knocks it down. Quick kick out of defence, not the required journey. Tim Kelly takes on the tackle of Horn Francis. Does well. Went through the hands of Newton. He goes again. Tackled by Farrell. Thrown into the turf.
Geez, that was a good 50-50 contest from Newton then. Halved that one, caused the ball up. That was sensational play from the youngster.
He's had some nice moments.
Yeah.
Back in the middle of the ground. The game's certainly on here at Adelaide Oval. Handball out towards Richards, gets it to Ware. His handball misses the target in Butters, but he gets it back out towards Richards. Throws it on the boot.
The game's sharp. It's shifted. Sorry, Tom.
They're Wiltering under the pressure of the power. Lindsay with a flat ball hits the target of Shanahan, who dropped the mark, but he laid the tackle on Aaliyah, and the umpire said holding the man.
No way, umpire.
That's incorrect disposal. West Coast fans would be incensed.
Aaliyah releases Farrell down the line, couple of juggles, and given to Lukosius. Another free kick against West Coast, and Lukosius will place it into the 50 to Durden. That's a rough run of the green by the men in green.
That's a goal assist by the umpires there.
Set shot to come for Corey Durden. He's about 40 out, 45 to the right.
And they're the sort of critical moments that West Coast need to go their way to be any chance of winning this contest, but I'm not sure they were free kicks.
Can't even argue the noise of affirmation. There's about 30k in this afternoon for the early start. Corey Durden, Golden Grove boy, now in power colours, straight out of Carlton. Leans back from 45. Excellent finish. Port Adelaide get one back. Durden has 2. Margins up to 21 once again. 8-6, 50 for the power. West Coast 5-3-33. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. It's been a quiet afternoon for Vicky Schwartz, who's down on the boundary line, just enjoying the sunshine, Vicky.
It's actually warming up quite a bit, Aaron, but I can tell you it seems like the West Coast Eagles are adjusting to the weather far better. Port's looking a little hot under the collar. West Coast Eagles cool under pressure, and that's because they've got their wet to miss fan going, and the players are running in and out of that. I'm tempted to do that myself, but it might be time for Port Adelaide to turn theirs on as well.
It's fascinating. All the little tricks that they've brought over from the West, and not to harp on those decisions, Josh, but I think that is one where a player takes someone on, they get tackled and they just drop it knowing that the umpire will say lost in the tackle. I mean, that's holding the ball, isn't
Agreed.
it?
Yes. Yep.
Especially in the middle of the ground when you've got the momentum going one way. Harley Reid tries to get it back for them, gets it to Flynn, to Kelly. Running off half-back is Dersma. He unloads from 55 metres out. Willem Dersma! Oh! We saw Harley Reid do something like that in his first year. We almost got some deja vu or a repeat, but it just went away to the right-hand side. Minus score, West Coast 5-4, 34, Port 8-6, 54.
Just need to be smarter. That's the one. Archer Reid is leading straight at him, and it's an easy kick, but he's chosen to go for goal.
Long bomb exit from Logan Evans. Double fist comes from the back. Farrell's there front and square. Tackled quickly by Davis, and it rolls over the boundary line. Be tossed in right half forward for the Eagles, who trail by 20 points. Lou in Adelaide on the text line says, I don't think it's a big deal these two teams are playing so early. AFL did it because one is average and the other is below average. Melbourne and Carlton to come. You can probably argue the same for both of those as well. Tap down, Burgoyne, quick kick. Coming the other way was Brady Hoff through the centre square. Got it out wide to Newton, tackled but released it. McCarthy towards the 50. Mead had two to beat and used the body very well. Intercept mark taken for the father-son in defensive 50. Port Adelaide have the ball in the 20-point lead at the moment in the second term.
Not the required journey. And Farrell took on a tackle.
Has to be holding the ball.
It has to be. Well, I don't know if they paid holding the ball. I think they paid last touch, but he basically just dropped it over the boundary line. They get the free kick anyway. Port under pressure in defence, but Mead did well to Brody, to Watkins, to Burgoyne, to Farrell. Now, Farrell goes long to a one-on-one. Georgiades muscles out Jinby, brings it to the front of the contest. Hoff is there for West Coast, and then Jinby goes in for the second effort. Wraps up Berry in the tackle, and we'll get a ball up on the logo.
There's two attacks on the footy. Brady Hoff have been impressive.
So Berry took on Kelly there, and the umpire says, again, we'll have a ball up. So just forward of the logo for the Power, leading by 20 points. 4 minutes to go in this second term.
Lenny T to toss it into the air. Flynn gets the fist on it, knocking it down towards Robertson, who shepherds and frees Dersma, then gets the footy himself. Dev Robertson at his new home, back home as well out west, kicks towards Shanahan, two to beat, and he's collared Logan Evans. Did kind of duck the head into it and then slipped in the process, so unlucky for the big defender slash forward, the swingman for the Eagles. Evans centres his kick across the defensive goal face, and Radaglia pops it back to the left back pocket. Mead will chip it over the top to Farrell. Methodical ball movement at the moment from the Power. Not a lot of defending from the Eagles.
What we saw last week too from Port Adelaide, Josh Carr, the last 3 to 4 minutes, he just made them shut it down, and they just maintained possession. Not necessarily that kick there, but they're going to get out of it okay. Jason Horne-Francis, big mark.
Yeah, to a contested mark, Jamo. Inboard to Sweet. He missed the handball over the top for Berry, made it hard for him. West Coast going to win the ball, but that's a looping, dangerous handball at centre half back. Taking on the tackle, Drew wrapped him up. It was Robertson, but no free kick. Ball it up, says the umpire. So it's just going to happen just inside the forward 50 for the Power. Sweet knocks it down. Straight to Dersma. He kicks a banana kick in defence. It hit the chest of where he dropped the mark, luckily for the Eagles. Duggan was there, Lindsay in support. Quick kick out of defence now. Hits the target.
That was a kick.
Of Archer Reid. And it's going to be a 50-metre penalty. No one on the mark.
That was Lindsay, I think. You
Have a
called it.
shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Archer Reid wants to play on early. Wanted the lead out of the goal square from Shanahan and then changes his mind at the last minute. So gets his free kick with the man on the mark, 55 out. Port have had time to flood back now. Archer Reid's a little unsure what to do, so why not have a crack? Very long approach from close to the centre circle. Archer Reid gives it everything he's got. Driving ball to the goal square. Dersma tried to fly and was buffeted away by Burgoyne. I reckon the non-controlling umpire saw it and races in from the pocket to call the free kick. Willem Dersma wanted to go for the hanger. Burgoyne kind of backed into him, bowled him over. Free kick to come for the number 1 draft pick.
Well, they're going to get out of it too here and have a shot on goal, and hopefully Willem Dersma is going to be able to finish off for West Coast, but just poor again, the decision going inside 50. Why just bomb it long? Like, all your defenders from Port have dropped back.
Willem Dersma, 20 out, caresses it through. Comfortable finish, his first of the afternoon. And the lead, Port Adelaide's way, is down to just 14 points. 8-6-54, place 6-4-40. Time on in the second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport with Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco.
If I could just go back to that kick from Lindsay exiting D50. As we said, Port Adelaide have got an extra number behind the footy, and it was just pinpoint, wasn't it? It was kicking almost to a 2v1 against him and was able to hit that target. And just looking at the replay as well, Burgoyne, that was a free kick every day of the week, wasn't it? Wasn't looking at the footy, took Dersman's run. Actually a good decision from the umpire.
Jamie Cripps, has he been on? He hasn't touched the football in this second quarter.
He's been out there.
Jimby also hasn't touched it. Probably not so bad if he's a defender and it hasn't been in the defensive area. It's not a bad thing, but Cripps is very quiet.
Trying to get it out of the middle here is Port, and Butters running off half back. Looking inside the forward 50. Big fist coming out of defence over the top of Lukosius, but Port have the numbers. Burgoyne goes short to Richards. That was about 8 metres and he knew it. Takes on a couple of tacklers. Handballs inside the forward 50 now. Georgiades wrapped up by Jinby. Still no possessions, Jamo, but a good tackle. Tell you who's having plenty of it. Willem Dersma this quarter. 9 touches, 3 score involvements and a goal.
Holly Young, great defensive work.
Tap down from Sweet, was looking for Butters. It's sharked. Brady Hoff, clearing kick for West Coast. Up towards the benches. Backtracking is Lockie Jones. Tries to paddle it to the advantage of Lai. Didn't quite hit him. Waterman's in, I guess, the hunt, trying to force it over the line, and it does get there in the end. So boundary throw-in.
Terrific there from Waterman, wasn't it? Outnumbered 2-1, forced the boundary throw-in and gives the West Coast Eagles midfielders time to reset.
Just over a minute remaining in this second quarter. Be great if West Coast could steal another one.
Port by 14. Sweet took it out of the ruck and got an ear tickle by Jack Graham. The umpire did not see it. Ball rolls its way to right half forward for West Coast. A couple of tackles later, and it's getting a little heated. Yo rips Willem Drew off the top of a sandwich as they pile on the top of Kane Farrell.
It's going blood rule.
We might have to. Something actually flew out of that as well. So when Yo was ripped out of the pylon, there's something on the ground. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Something's boot or something has come, like a bit of their boot has come off. Anyway, tried the stoppage. It was knocked straight over the boundary line, and Yo's still having a pretty big chat with the umpires, saying, "Look, that was actually a possession." Jason on France is the same, and he's now spotted the loose bit of plastic and tosses it over to the runner.
So they're saying here potentially Port have knocked it over the line, have they?
On the full.
But no, going to be a boundary throw-in.
Crows fans watching will be frustrated that they actually came together and discussed it rather than just going ahead.
Well said.
Tossed in. Flynn down. Port up the numbers though. Farrell tries to ride the tackle of Graham. Did get a handball out, not sure it was clean. Burgoyne down the line, picked off. Yo came in from the side, sends the Eagles back towards the 50, close to quarter time, and Waterman gets the mark.
Looking all right, the Eagles.
Yep.
They've turned this game on its head.
Just the pressure there too.
Yeah.
I think with Yo and Jack Graham going into the middle and spending more time there, their pressure has been more superior, particularly in this second quarter.
And just watching some of the Port Adelaide mids, Butters is just on the fly too much. Willem Drew on the fly at stoppage too much, and they're paying the price for it. And as we said, West Coast Eagles, all at sea in the first quarter, are able to wrestle momentum back, and they look really comfortable out there at the moment. And the margin, as we said, also is still manageable.
Man on the mark is 45 out, 45 to the right.
1 goal 3, Jake Waterman.
On the cusp of half-time, this will change the narrative. Jake Waterman hits it well. Excellent finish.
Wow.
Turns to the front row as well and gives it to them. Margins down to 8 at the major break after Port had it as high as 29 early in this quarter. Port Adelaide 8-6-54. West Coast 7-4-46. It is game on at the Adelaide Oval in the penultimate game of round 3. Goal scorers so far for the contest: Port Adelaide 2 to Georgiades and Whitlock, and Corey Durden as well. Singles to Watkins and Lukosius. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, 2 to Allen, and individuals to Graham, Yeo, Waterman and Dersma. Tale of two halves in a quarter there. Josh Franco, Rod Jamison, what did you make of the second term on ABC Sport?
Well, Gemma, that was a really good quarter from the West Coast Eagles, wasn't it? As I said, they were all at sea. The first quarter, they were under siege from Port Adelaide in terms of pressure. They couldn't move the ball, and they paid the price inside 50s. Massive discrepancy in Port Adelaide's favour. And that quarter, they were able to move the ball, defend a little bit more with ball in hand, and set up some forward entries with more composure. And they were able to take control of that game and look really threatening ahead of the ball.
I just thought their pressure, their disposal, their efficiency, they lowered their eyes around the contest. Game, you touched on Zach Butters got away early in the part of that second quarter, but West Coast just started to win the football back, didn't they?
Yeah, and this is the worry for me from Port Adelaide's perspective is Zach Butters, I think I mentioned it about the 10-minute mark of that second quarter, that they need to put the clamps on him, whether they did or not, or whether it was just the way the game unfolded. But as soon as he falls out of the game, Port Adelaide looked really vulnerable. Horne-Francis, only the 8 disposals in that first half, hasn't really got going, but they sort of missed the dynamic movement of Zach Butters in the latter part of that second quarter, and they did pay the price for it. So no Connor Rosie, that's probably the flow-on effect that they get. If Butters isn't firing, then they're definitely vulnerable in the middle of the ground.
Archer Reid into the ruck, did a bit of work there quite in that second quarter. I really like Tyler Young in the back half. Like just his height, his mobility, he's to read the football. And again, I just felt that they used the football a little bit better coming out of their back half in that particular quarter. When you have a look at Josh Lindsay, he's leading the way for West Coast with 13. Tom McCarthy, 12. But they're contested. It's really, they're only 3 behind Port Adelaide. They're tackling 37 apiece. They both had 13 inside 50s in that quarter, but it was the efficiency on which they used the football, I think, and then finished off with a 5-goal 3 second quarter to Port Adelaide, only 3-goal 1, so big improvement.
Took a quarter and 13 minutes to wake up, and finally they're ready to go, the West Coast Eagles, with 4 of the last 5 goals of the second term. Aaron Bryans, Tom Wilson, Rod Jamison, Josh Franco with you in the text line this afternoon, 0437 774 774. We've got Carlton and Melbourne to come at the MCG, which we'll get you to after this game. Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series between the Sydney Kings and the Adelaide 36ers is coming your way in just over an hour's time, so 2:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Sport Extra on ABC Listen is where you will find that with Brett Sprigg and Ben Knight. Sheffield Shield's on at the moment. You can hear our Day 4 coverage through the cricket button on ABC Listen. South Australia is steadying. 8 for 227. Their lead is 164. So game is alive there, even though Victoria are on top. Finally, Nathan McAndrew out, the ninth man, who did a pretty good job to steady the ship with 60 runs. But Alex Carey's still out there on 83, and Henry Thornton, the supporting role at the moment, yet to get off the mark. So South Australia's lead 164 in the second dig. News just coming through as well. We haven't got the official email from the AFL just yet, but Mitch Cleary is reporting that Tristan Sherry will head straight to the tribunal for his incident with Andy McGrath last night. And so that incident was, if you aren't across it, there was a collision between bodies out on the wing. Play continued. Sherry ended up with the ball inside 50, and there was a little bit of an afters as the ball went through the goalposts. Sherry rubs his nose after the contact. He started bleeding a little bit. He actually rubs underneath his nose, trying to at least get some blood or snot or whatever. It's bodily fluid, and rubs it on Andrew McGrath's face. This is something, Jamo, that obviously we do not want to see in the AFL. It was pretty disgusting, and now it's going straight to the tribunal.
Yeah, well, I think it's worth games. I think that's appalling in terms of maybe just a quick brain fade in terms of what he's done. But yeah, absolutely.
I tracked it down in the tribunal guidelines because this will fall under misconduct, and generally if it's just normal misconduct, that's usually a fine. If it's serious misconduct, straight to the tribunal, which it sounds like it's going to be. Misconduct in the tribunal guidelines is unacceptable or unsportsmanlike behaviour where it had an effect or potential to prejudice the reputation of a person, club, or the game. And yeah, if you're I guess throwing it in the face of the blood rule, which is we're trying to prevent the spread of diseases.
Well, I think that's one thing. But again, you're actually passing blood to another player because you want him to leave the ground too. Like, it sort of sits well with outside the rules. I'm all for maybe stretching him, but in this particular case, I think it's a little far-fetched and probably needs some sort of penalty.
I agree with that. I'd like to know what McGrath was saying to him, though, And again, it was a brain fade, absolutely. Whether he was saying you're weak from the contest and he said, no, I got blood on me and wiped it on him, you don't want it in the game. But I'd like to know how McGrath was baiting him for him to have that brain snap and do that.
24 years ago, Nathan Buckley got a week on Cameron Ling when he kind of leant into him and tried to share blood. But otherwise, this will set new ground, I think, for a player deliberately wiping it off their face and then putting it on somebody else's. It's something we don't want to see in the game. It's a bad look. The risk factor as well on top of that.
Yeah. I think I'm right in saying that rule has changed over time, that if it's free-flowing blood, you've got to come off. But if you have a bit of a scratch on your knee and there's a little bit, you can wipe it off there. Is that right?
Which was interesting because in that incident last night before they got into the forward 50, Sherry did actually turn to the umpire and point to his nose. And obviously they didn't stop the game. He didn't make his way off the ground. And we get to where we got to. So... there's a lot of little layers in it, but Mitch Cleary reporting that Tristan Sherry's headed straight to the tribunal as a result of that incident with Andrew McGrath. Phil in Victoria sent us a text and says, if the start time is a disadvantage, why did the AFL do it? And can you discuss the Crows and the umpiring decision on Thursday night and why it wasn't a contentious discussion? It was, Phil, but we're 3 days removed now. And if you want to hear a lot of our takes on it, AFL Saturday covered it, as did SA Grandstand. You can find those shows on ABC Listen, but we're trying to focus on the games in front of us, I think. But all I can tell you is Crows fans here in Adelaide incensed. They weren't happy with it. A lot of people were asking the league to look into that rule as a result after they...
Well, if you follow other sports, again, here I am, NHL, so hockey, they review pretty much every decision. So if they get the decision wrong, they review it, regardless of where the hockey goes or the puck goes, they blow the whistle and they bring it back. And it's accepted that we get it right. So regardless if the next 30 seconds becomes a goal or whatever it might be within play, it comes back and it starts and it goes back to the right decision. And there's absolutely no reason why that couldn't have happened the other night. Like, the ARC is there to review it. They can clearly see it. Ball goes out the other side. Even if it goes to goal within that time frame, blow the whistle, bring it back, got it wrong, start again.
I think it was a cop-out to say they didn't have time as well, because I know Atkins was trying to play on quickly, but it wasn't that quick.
Well, because they say within the rule, I was reading it, that they say once it's in play, the ARC don't have the ability to then make the decision. So whilst there is no play, the ARC can hold up, or if the umpire's held up the game, then they can make the decision and the ARC can influence. So really just remove that and the ARC should have total influence. If it's an absolute random or stinker, they have to get it right. Absolutely.
I think it was something every man and his dog saw coming when they announced the rule, and we all joked about, players can play on and try and dodge what could be a review that would go against them, but I don't think anyone anticipated it to happen in a very close game in prime time, and that's just shined a spotlight on it as a result.
Well, I think the problem, and I've jumped in once again, everyone talks about finals, but it actually costs you games. That's the thing. It costs you games where you need the games to win to obviously get to the final. Right. So it doesn't matter if it's a final, it's costing teams games.
We've upset the Crows faithful now. Kevin in Shenton Park on the text line says Atkins cheating should count as misconduct and he should go to the tribunal.
10 weeks, give him 10.
And a couple of other texts coming through as well about the Sherry McGrath incident. So one listener says 6 games, low life behaviour. Another says McGrath only used words while Sherry took it too far. So 0437 774 774, that text line in the news if you're just joining us. Sherry headed straight to the tribunal for wiping blood on Andrew McGrath's face. Port Adelaide in front by 8 points at half-time, 8-6-54 to 7-4-46. The Blues and the D's still to come at the G in a couple of hours' time. But for now, on ABC Local Radio, News Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen, we can get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News, hello, I'm Satyam Weinstein. State and territory leaders are holding an emergency meeting this afternoon to address the worsening fuel crisis ahead of tomorrow's National Cabinet meeting with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The Premiers and Chief Ministers are set to convene this afternoon to coordinate a universal response. Already, Victoria and Tasmania have announced free public transport in response to rising fuel costs. In Victoria, all forms of public transport will be fare-free until the end of April, while Tasmanian commuters won't be charged to travel on buses and ferries until July. The New South Wales government says there's been an increase in patronage on public transport, but it isn't considering cutting fares. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels say they've launched a second missile attack on Israel and are vowing to continue military operations over the coming days. After the first attack on the southern Israeli city of Beersheba, the group announced it was targeting sensitive military sites. Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin says they're ready for the Houthi attacks.
We are preparing for a multi-front war, including with the Houthis. We know how to defend Israeli civilians, and as I said before, we act, we don't talk. Anyone who threatens Israeli civilians, we will strike them.
3 journalists have been killed in an Israeli strike in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah's Al-Mana TV says its longtime correspondent Ali Shaib was killed. The well-known war correspondent had covered southern Lebanon for nearly 3 decades. Meanwhile, Beirut-based Pan-Arab Al-Mayadeen TV says their reporter Fatima Fatoumi, along with her brother Mohammed, were also killed in the airstrike. The Israeli army claims that Mr. Shoaib was systematically exposing the location of Israeli soldiers. There's been a drone attack on the home of the leader of Iraq's autonomous region of Kurdistan. The BBC's David Bamford reports.
The drone aimed at the Iraqi Kurdish leader's home in Erbil was shot down by air defences before it could reach its target. No group has claimed responsibility. What's unusual is that both Iran and the US criticised that same attack. Since the Iran conflict began a month ago, pro-US and pro-Iranian factions in Iraq have been targeting each other with missiles and drones. The US Embassy in Baghdad, as well as American military bases in Iraq, have come under fire numerous times.
Millions of people across the United States have been demonstrating against the Trump administration for the 3rd round of No Kings protests. The first 2 protests in June and October last year drew around 5 to 7 million people. More than 3,000 rallies are planned for today in all 50 U.S. states. Speaking in St. Paul, Minnesota, Senator Bernie Sanders says they're there to protect American freedoms.
No more kings. We will not allow this country to descend into authoritarianism or oligarchy. In America, we the people will rule.
The White House has dismissed the demonstrations, labelling them a Trump derangement therapy session, while the National Republican Congressional Committee called them Hate America rallies. A man's been arrested in the UK after dozens of pedestrians were struck by a car in the centre of Derby City. Several of the victims are believed to be seriously injured. Police say they don't believe there is any ongoing risk to the public. Ex-tropical cyclone Narelle is moving towards Antarctica after leaving a trail of destruction over Australia's north and northwest. The system hit parts of Queensland, the Northern Territory and northern Western Australia, where the storm tore through the region at a Category 4 strength. WA's Gascoyne Coast has been the hardest hit region in that state, and work is underway to restore power and water services. The Bureau of Meteorology's Angus Hines says Narelle's effects were unusually widespread.
It's impacted all of our northern states and territories as a severe tropical cyclone. It's very uncommon for one singular weather system to do that. So Narelle has packed quite a punch across a really broad part of the country. But yes, finally, yesterday evening it moved off Australia and away to the south.
Women's tennis world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka, has beaten American Coco Gauff to retain her Miami Open title. Sabalenka went 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 to become the 5th female player and the first since Iga Swiatek in 2022 to complete the Sunshine Double by winning titles at Indian Wells and Miami in the same season. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News.
You meet the most interesting people on Sunday morning.
Driving through this hot land full of dust and smoke, this little Tommy fella feels like a true blue Aussie bloke.
Join the rest of Australia right here on Sunday morning.
Australia all over, Sunday mornings on ABC Radio.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Exiting kick from the Eagles is coming back. Butters to Burgoyne. Berry drives a bullet past low. The slips catch of Georgiades. Mitch Georgiades starts on the fence, left half forward, comes in, and that is a splendid kick. 2 for Georgiades.
Sweet, trying to keep this one. Is Durden. Does. Knocks it to Bernard Jones. Goes the 1-2. This would be a special goal. He thought about handing it off. He can run in the whole way, Corey Durden. That's what you call reward for effort.
Alia releases Farrell down the line, couple of juggles, and given to Lukosius. Another free kick against West Coast, and Lukosius will place it into the 50 to Durden. That's a rough run of the green by the men in green.
Rory Durden
leans back from 45. Excellent finish. Farrell tries to ride the tackle of Graham. Didn't get a handball out, I'm sure it was clean. Burgoyne down the line, picked off. Yo came in from the side, sends the Eagles back towards the 50, close to quarter time, and Waterman gets the mark. On the cusp of half time, this will change the narrative. Jake Waterman hits it well. Excellent finish.
Wow.
Turns to the front row as well and gives it to them.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
The best kind of deja vu for West Australian fans. The Eagles started slow, but have clawed it right back. Margins just 8 points at the major break. Port Adelaide lead 8-6-54 to West Coast 7-4-46. Aaron Bryans and Tom Wilson calling the action for you alongside Josh Franco and Rod Jamieson with Vicky Schwartz downstairs. And still to come, Carlton and Melbourne at the MCG in what will be probably just under 2 hours' time. We'll get you there at the conclusion of this game. NBL Game 3 of the Championship Series coming your way as well from 2:30 Eastern Daylight Time on Sport Extra through ABC Listen. And on the cricket button right now is the Sheffield Shield final between South Australia and Victoria. And the Sackers have really been able to get a foothold back into this game. That looked like they were done and dusted late yesterday. And they were 5 down and barely reached 50 runs. 9 for 236 at the moment. Leads 173. We just saw the wicket of Nathan McAndrew before, which ended a pretty big partnership with he and Alex Carey. Here's how it sounded on ABC Listen, called by Mitch Turner.
Will Sutherland will continue from this broadcast end. Right behind him, he bowls to McAndrew, goes straight through. The breakthrough comes, and it's the Victorian skipper who finally removes Nathan McAndrew through the gates. Clean bowled him, and McAndrew has been brave, has been stoic. But now he has to depart for 60, bowled by Sutherland.
Impressive wicket from the ninth man for South Australia and ended what was a 105-run partnership. So there's a little bit of life for South Australia looking to go back-to-back for the first time in their history, but Victoria would feel like 173 at the moment is very gettable. There's still one more wicket to go as Alex Carey tries to get to 100 and get South Australia maybe with a 200 lead, and we'll see from there. But you can hear it on ABC Listen through the cricket button. Other news of the day, Darcy Moore has a low-grade hamstring issue and an inflamed bursa at the back of his knee, so he's out for a pretty significant period of time now. Darcy Moore looks like it'll be 3 to 4, and that is weeks, not months. I was a little bit worried about the scale of that. 3 to 4 weeks for Darcy Moore after his injury on Friday night. And Tristan Sherry headed straight to the tribunal for misconduct up against Andrew McGrath after wiping blood on the Bombers defender's face. Couple of texts flying through about it. 0437 774 774. One listener says, regardless of what McGrath said, there is no justification for smearing bodily fluids on another person. And he says, wiping your blood on another player's face breaks all sorts of OH&S protocols. Imagine if McGrath had open skin and it could have caused an infection. They need a week's suspension. It should send a message. And Marcus in South Melbourne says, while I'm in no way defending Sherry's actions, he was king hit well behind the play by an Essendon player whilst not looking. Why have there been no reports about that? Says Marcus. So, yeah, there certainly was an initial kind of couple of contact between two Bombers players involving McGrath and Sherry, and I think it was Archie Roberts was the other when he was pinballing around. And Sherry didn't take lightly to that, but I don't think it justifies his actions in the fallout. It's pretty ugly in the end. Port by 8 here at the Adelaide Oval. Josh Franco, you got much hope for the West Coast Eagles to claw this back?
I do. As I said, they were nowhere near it in that first quarter. At quarter time, whatever McWalter said got them back in the game. They changed the way they played, but what's the margin? 8 points at the moment. They had momentum going into half-time. Important 5 minutes of this third quarter for the West Coast Eagles. Port Adelaide midfield through Butters and Horne-Francis need to re-exert their authority on this contest.
Was as high as 29 and now it's just 8. Here's Tom Wilson on ABC Sport.
Sweet knocks it down to start the second half. Drew to Horne-Francis. Got some time. Kicks it out towards the wing and Burgoyne. Lands in his lap. Handball inside to Butters. Goes the 1-2 to Burgoyne. Got some company in Dursberg, but he hits the target. Where was that late in the second quarter, Josh Franco?
Well, they were the two that I said when they want Francis and Butters have to get involved. Butters started the game superbly, fell out of it in the back half of that second quarter. Horne-Francis hasn't really influenced the game like he did, 6 or 7 days ago against Essendon, but really good play. They're influential in that centre bounce.
Willem Dersma, you'll learn from that. You have a look at his footage in the middle of the week.
So Mitch Georgiades to get the Power off to a big start in the second half. Already got 2 goals to his name. Kicked from just inside the 50, 45 degree angle. Beautiful drop punt. That's the start that they needed. Port go to 9-6-60. West Coast 7-4-46 inside a minute here in the third term.
Just another example of, as I said, Horne-Francis and Butters being involved in the play. They set up so much for Port Adelaide, and if they're not having an influence on the contest, Port Adelaide, as we spoke about at half-time in that second quarter, really struggled towards the back end, but really good centre clearance. Great connect inside forward 50. Good play, Port Adelaide, to start this third.
Willem Dersma just got to the contest, put pressure there, stepped back, and Jace Burgoyne kept going and received the handball back again, so he just can't allow his immediate opponent just to run past and get involved on multiple occasions.
So Port by 14 points. West Coast got that margin all the way down to 8, and Port Adelaide quickly firing a shot. Sweet down out of the middle. Horne-Francis, it bounced off his bootlaces, and coming out of halfback, the toe from Berry only hits Jace Burgoyne. Turnover, Dersma can't hit his target. Horne-Francis coming the other way, bouncing off a couple of bodies, falls into the footy but can't extract it. Kelly now wins the ball, hands it to Dersma, turning is McCarthy, drills a low dart, getting low. Harley Reid's paid the mark. Even he didn't think that was a mark. Got his fingertips underneath it, turned and wanted to play on, and they've given it to him. Set shot to come, 45 out, slightly to the left.
They're lucky to get away with that, West Coast. That handball from Dersma from that initial centre bounce clearance was really poor. Had to hit the target, but didn't. Put the West Coast mids under pressure, but able to turn the footy over. And agree with you, Aaron. It was, to the naked eye, it looked like the ball had a fair bit of the ground then before he took.
He acted like it was a half volley, and he just kind of accelerated through it.
Yeah, that might be the payback for a couple of those in the second.
Harley Reid will take the gift from 50. It is a monster kick. Harleywood's arrived at the Adelaide Oval. Reid with his first of the afternoon. Margins back down to 8. 9-6-60 Port Adelaide. West Coast 8-4-52. 3 played in the third term on ABC Sport. It's not all good news, though, for West Coast fans. Vicky Schwartz, what's happened down there?
Well, disappointing news for the Eagles fans. Elliot Yeo, he's injured his groin and he'll take no further part in this game.
Big blow considering he had the osteitis pubis that was part of a flurry of injuries that kept him out for 568 days. It's not a great sign.
No. Well, he's getting a little old too, and he's been in and under, particularly in that second quarter. Jack Graham, we spoke about, the ability to win the contested football. So that's a big loss.
Back in the middle of the ground. Goal apiece in this third term. Port lead by 8 points. Tim Kelly gets the clearance up towards centre half forward. Running through was Dersman, but gathered by Baker. Gets the handball away to Robertson. Kicks inside the forward 50. Fisted away by Jones for Port. Up towards Burgoyne, who slipped over. A dangerous handball back inside, clean from Shanahan to Schonberg, who snaps for goal. Away to the left. Away to the left-hand side, minus score. So 8-5-53 Port and 9-6-60. Just over 4 minutes gone in this third term for ABC Sport. We've got a game on our hands.
What about the hands from the big fella Shanahan then? They were outstanding with it. Schonberg just needed to finish.
Heading out to the broadcast window, the Power.
Great chase.
Overhand handball to Burne-Jones. He had Bo Allen on his tail. He's been so hungry this afternoon.
Better pressure.
Handed it across, and Nikosius just walks it over. So a boundary throw in to come as, the West Coast Eagles just wouldn't stop hunting.
Was that Allen then the chase, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, superb.
Set of clearances too, 7-6 in favour of Port, but the stoppage clearances 16-8 in favour of West Coast.
Port by 7. Flynn slaps it down the throat of Dersma, but breathing down his neck was Burgoyne, engulfs him. Ball up to come.
Gemma, that goes back a bit to bringing the forward up the stoppage between the arcs.
Yeah.
Support the stoppage, extra number there. And looks like Port Adelaide have equalised this one now.
Sweet knocks it down cleanly to Butters, to Burne-Jones, back to Butters. runs towards the 50, handballs to Richards, 40 metres out, 45-degree angle, and you can hear the jeers from the crowd. Straight off the right side of his boot for a minus score, just snuck in, 9-7-61. West Coast, 8-5-53, 5.5 minutes gone, third term.
Vicky Schwartz might be reporting on me shortly. I just smashed a pie at half time. I've got indigestion.
Tyler Young drives it long to the broadcast wing. Shanahan's in front spot, tapped it down. Baker's got a couple of tacklers to beat. Fell on the footy, holding the ball.
That's tough too.
Didn't make much of an attempt. Just put his body over it. Was shepherding the pill. Picked up by Farrell on the lethal left. It's a long-range strike towards the top of the goal square. Knocked away by Georgiades. Kelly's there for the Eagles. Hands it to Duggan. Exits to the eastern side. Strong mark by Archer Reid.
Great work.
Looks inboard. It'll be 50 anyway.
Is that two they've given away now? 2 50s, Paul?
Yep. And that was a big win there from Archer Reid.
Yep.
Big win. Exit the ball. Took the mark. Now the 50 being a penalty. Good transfer of play for the Eagles.
Just be smart here.
Radical is standing the mark at the attacking 50. Hands it to Kelly, who spears it into the 50 to Harley Reid. Good vision as he lowered the eyes and darted it 25 from home. Reid's got a tight angle, but he's close to goal.
Much better.
I'll tell you what, I like the West Coast Eagles at the moment. I'm a little bit nervous. I reckon there's a few Port Adelaide fans in the stadium that are a little bit nervous. They have had almost no control of this game from halfway through that second quarter, the 10-minute mark of that second quarter, and West Coast Eagles are building confidence, and they are actually looking pretty good at the moment.
Spoke in the pre-game how last week's win just felt different.
Yeah.
They look like a different outfit. Harley Reid off a couple of steps, slams it hard and sprays it across the face, but he's managed to creep it in. Right side of the goalpost, and Harley's got two. West Coast have got the margin down to 2 points. 9-7-61 plays 9-5-59. 7 played in the third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. I called this side last year, Josh, at Gather-Round when they played. I reckon it was Carlton. And I said in the post-game, I don't know who they're going to beat because they were that miserable. They look worse than Essendon do right now. And this was around this time last year. And this is a dramatically different team.
Absolutely it is. And does it say, well, I know Port Adelaide is still leading by 2 points, but does it say a little bit about Port Adelaide as well? And that's what we said pre-game. We'll find out probably more where both sides are at post-game and watching this game unfold. But I've been quite impressed. I wasn't at quarter time, but been quite impressed with the Eagles post-quarter time.
Marks inside 50 were 8-0 at one stage. Port Adelaide, it's now 10-5. So West Coast starting to find the footy where they need to.
Butters bursts out the pack, gets it to Watkins, who hits the chest of Georgiades.
Make it 11-5.
I tell you what, when Zach Butters is given space at a stoppage, he is almost unstoppable. You almost got to double team him, step off him and try to check him on the way through, because if he gets a clean run at it, as he did on that occasion, his ability to set up play, unreal.
Normally he does it the first time, but then he manoeuvres through the traffic, doesn't he, and gets it back again.
Yep.
He ran straight past Harley Reid, who's a powerful athlete. Got it to Watkins, who hit the target. Now, there'd be a few people that were cynical about the Watkins signing because he's best mates with Zach Butters, but he's really proving it at the AFL level so far this season. So Georgiades, another opportunity to get one back for Port. The goal umpire just had to do a little bit too much work to his left. A miss to the right for Georgiades. So Port 9-8-62. West Coast 9-5-59. That's a 3-point margin.
Missed a few set shots too today, Port. Kickable goals.
Lindsay plays on, kicks a little heavy for Hoff, and he's buffeted over the boundary line. It'll be tossed in. Eagles have kicked 6 of the last 8 goals and 7 of the last 10.
Yeah.
It's a nice little run. Port Adelaide will need to negate it. They want consecutive victories in the Josh Carr era.
Just going back, I think in 2024-25, it's always been an issue. Port kick a lot of behinds. More behinds than goals majority of the games.
Sweep down. Flynn falls over the footy, can't extract it, and then trying to rip it out of there is Jacob Newton. He's caught in the tackle. Ball up. Sweep down. Looking for Dersma, pulled away from it without the footy. Free kick to go Willem Dersma's way. Left half back. West Coast have possession, trailing by 3 points. Haven't led at all this game. Dersma called to play on. Not really sure what to do.
Catch that.
Long kick. Falls a bit shallow of Cripps. He did well to trap it. Knocked it out wide. Schomburg gets it back to him. Bang! big tackle on Dev Robertson. He is bulldozed. Zach Butters gives it to him as a response as well. And the new skipper for Port Adelaide, standing in for Connor Rozee, gets the footy for disposal 5 in the quarter after a slower second term. Short on the 45, uses McKinlay. Quickly plays on and darts through the logo broadcast side. Down the line he goes. Dersma front position, juggles and gets the intercept.
Very good.
Skinny though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Goes short.
Better.
Moving it well here. Newton takes the mark, left half forward for West Coast. Goes quickly, but goes to a 2-on-1 against. Falls in the lap of Aaliyah, who put it on the left boot. That was ungainly, but it worked. Just Sweet at centre half back. He handballs it out in front of Butters, who was in a 2-on-1. He's slung into the turf.
No way.
Wow, we've seen it again, Josh.
Sorry, they've got these wrong.
I don't know, Josh. His head hit his head here, and
I reckon
Butters actually looks quite sore.
I think he contributes to it. Oh, maybe he doesn't.
That's a hard tackle. Yeah. That is a really hard tackle.
But he's tackled with the footy and he loses it. So that's the decision there.
Yeah.
Richards has got the footy at centre half forward. Chips forward. Finds Ware just inside the forward 50. Right half forward. Can run around on his left foot if he wants. Umpire's just asked him to straighten up a little. Might actually bring him in range. He plays on. Kick from 55. Curling with the left boot, just hanging out to the left, and it'll be rushed through from behind.
That's a poor kick too. Those long points, poor kick. Where top of the goal square, put him under the pump.
Just to follow up on that tackle as well, I think Dev Robertson will be in trouble. But they've been giving a week for that.
The only thing I reckon too is the speed with which Butters is moving and momentum of the play. I hear what you're saying, Aaron, but that's tough.
Port by 4 at the moment. West Coast exit to the eastern side. It's not a great footy. It's bobbling its way to a 3-on-3. Waterman gets slow and gathers.
They're out here.
Hands it to Graham. They've surged away. Schomburg clean on the bounce. Reels it in. Swings the kick into the 50. Ratugolea gets in front of Shanahan, who had Aaliyah to deal with, and takes the intercept mark. Port will switch through defensive 50. We're out to right half back, and now the mark taken by Jordan Sweet. Port by 4 points. We're 12 minutes into the third term. This is a dicey kick central. Nearly cut off by West Coast. Burgoyne makes amends and uses Logan Evans.
Note to Ruckman, don't hit 45s in the back 50.
Been a couple of those. There's a 45 to centre half back.
Who kicked
it straight to Kelly? It was Logan Evans.
Wow.
He's having some sort of third quarter at the moment. This is disposal number 6.
A lot of experience, Tim Kelly, and he's kicked it straight to his opponent in line.
A couple of poor entries from West Coast. Port Adelaide defenders under the pump, but just their entries really poor there. Need better from Kelly.
How funny was that? So Jason Horne-Francis has just come onto the boundary. He's come onto the ground and he's yelling for the kick to come long. Liam Dungan's just walked up behind him and tapped him on the shoulder and go, "Here I am, mate." And he's just turned around and laughed.
So we've got a boundary throw in left half forward for Port. It was a smothered ball off Ware's boot. So Sweet knocks it down looking for Brodie, but Graham gathered, gets it to Kelly, your man, Jamo. Goes inside the forward 50 looking for Waterman. There's a whistle holding on. So this was outside the contest. No, it was Waterman as he was running on that lead, just being held.
That's the old get it in quick. Wasn't pretty. It was a bit of a chaos ball, bit of a floater there from Kelly, but puts the defender under the pump and draws the free kick.
So a bit of a mismatch there. Josh Lai in his first game on Jake Waterman. Powerful man. And an opportunity now for West Coast, after conceding the first 4 goals of the game, for a chance to hit the front.
Who would have thought?
25 metres out, Jake Waterman. Slide angle, no worries. And the Eagles are in front at Adelaide Oval, and he's got his third. The West Coast wave, 10-5-65. Port Adelaide 9-9-63, halfway through the third term.
Yeah, just their effort, their contest work, I guess their pressure that was missing in that first quarter. We saw that in the second and part of the third.
Let's check in with Vicky Schwartz downstairs, because there is some concerns over Zach Butters after that tackle from Dev Robertson.
Yeah, Zach Butters did come off the ground. He's being looked at by the doctors, and I'll keep you posted on that one.
You wonder if it might be the AFL stepping in as well with the new concussion spotters.
Be a disaster for Port Adelaide. Under the pump, under siege, their best key playmaker gone off the ground. Horne-Francis not having a massive impact in this game, but you take Zach Butters out of it, there's more workload on the rest and they need to step up.
So for the first time this afternoon, West Coast are in front and Matt Flynn has taken it out of the ruck and send them back towards 50. Shanahan crashes the pack, shoots out towards Evans, nowhere to really go, spun in the tackle, got it out. Farrell to Evans and now kicks it out to the eastern side, the mark taken by Burgoyne.
All of a sudden I start to think, would Ollie Wines be handy right now?
Had 33 in the sandful yesterday. Match conditioning was the reasoning. They didn't pick him.
Will Brodie just the 10 disposals.
Burgoyne down the line looking for Lukosius, knocked away. Richards clean, shoots the handball to Sweet. Burgoyne back to Richards. Now Logan Evans turned into trouble. Davis was there. Ball pops out. No free kick, but the Eagles get it. Harley Reid slams it forward. Tumbling kick. Waterman comes out. Clean take. The handball out to Archer Reid, who sidesteps Kane Farrell. They look slick. This is top shelf footy. Baker marching in. Can't cap it off from 40. Jeez, what a play that was from West Coast. But instead it's just a minor score. Their lead's 3 points. I haven't seen the Eagles play like this in years, Rod Jefferson.
He had Jamie Cripps at the top of the square. It had to go there.
He could have handballed it to him.
I think the other alarming thing about it is Port Adelaide actually struggling with the pressure now that the West Coast are applying. They look lost with ball in hand and the pressure's been outstanding.
Mead down the line. Whitlock. Gathered by Lindsay. Oh, he's hit the target. They've found Cripps this time. He gets an opportunity. Cripps. And he goes straight through the middle. The veteran. West Coast on fire at Adelaide Oval. They're soaring high. 11-6-72. Port 9-9-63.
7 goal scorers to West Coast, and they are up and about, using the football so much better, getting the football forward, maintaining possession, and the defence of Port are really struggling.
They have, and the long down the line kicks that Port Adelaide were absolutely torching the Eagles in that first quarter, that's flipped on its head. Port Adelaide can't get their hands on the footy.
There is some good news though for the Power faithful. Vicky Schwartz.
Yes, I can tell you that Zach Butters has just come off the ground. Didn't like the look of those last couple of West Coast Eagles goals, so he is straight back in the middle.
So no concern for Zach Butters after that tough tackle from Dev Robertson.
The only thing, I was just looking at the interchange as well, and Radaglia has come off, looked like hobbling on his right ankle, so we'll have to get a bit of an update from Vicky down there.
She had an easy first half, Vicky. Now it's all coming in waves. West Coast currently up by 9, tap out of the middle, quick tackle laid on Whitlock.
And that's a concern for Port as well. In terms of the tall timber, they got ahead of the ball, the Eagles, with dominance going inside 50. That's a concern.
Will Brodie on ball as well. Haven't seen a lot of him. Flynn paddles it forward for West Coast. Farrell there, knocked it towards Whitlock, sliding in. Caught up in a couple of tackles. Another ball up to come in the centre square. Peter and Joe texting in saying the Eagles are out of bed now. Brodie out of the stoppage. Got his hands free from the tackle of Bakler and hands it to Horn Francis. Kicks it up towards the broadcast wing. Richards was the target. Bit of backspin though, didn't help him. Duggan edges him towards the boundary. Now Burgoyne tackles him. And will be tossed back in at right half forward for Port Adelaide. Vicky Schwartz downstairs.
Yeah, Sava Radaglia did limp to the bench. He's currently being looked at by the physio and the doctor. Can't put any weight on that foot, so I'll keep you posted on that one.
Lukosius, Berry, Whitlock, Durden, McKinlay have not touched the football for Port Adelaide.
Pulled off the footy there, Graham, by Horn Francis.
And all these 50-50 calls, the bounce of the ball, the rub of the green is going the West Coast Eagles' way, and that's what happens when you're dominating field position and play.
Lindsay gets the footy in the centre square, kicks out towards Robertson. Just grabs it in front of the Eagles bench. Takes on Burgoyne. Goes inside the forward 50. Flying was over the back. Shanahan.
No Radaglia as well. Lear was there to compete in the air, but just too tall, too strong. What a catch.
How good is that?
Yeah.
So springy for his size. Loved his work last week.
Wow, he's plucked that from 4 deep.
The way he went at that, and for those West Coast Eagles supporters and Port Adelaide, David Hines, remember David Hines that played, really his ability to get up at the football.
So Shanahan will take a kick from about 50 metres, slight angle away to the left. Can he continue the Eagles' dominance in this third quarter? He hit it well. It's hit the post even better, minus score. Relief for Port Adelaide fans, who would be in absolute shock at the moment. West Coast 11-7, 73. Port 9-9, 63. And it's 20 minutes gone in this third term.
Eagles with 9 of the last 12 goals, and they've had the last 4 scoring opportunities.
Tim Kelly, 8 disposals.
Straight line drive from Farrell. Heads towards the Logo broadcast side on Francis at the drop. Tackled by Graham, turns it over. Baker spun a full 360 and just couldn't get the ball out. Holding the ball, free kick to Port Adelaide. Brodie heads wide.
They just don't look threatening with ball in hand either, do they, Port? They don't look like scoring at the moment. No speed in the game. Now they're going back to LDL. It's not working for them at the minute.
Josh Lie down the line. Georgiades thought about the hanger. Couldn't quite get it in off hands over the boundary line. LDL, Josh, Franco.
Oops, sorry, long down the line.
Yep.
The bailout kick.
Just the coaching lingo. Wanted to check in.
Yep.
Kicked in.
Yep.
Only been one game.
Again, we saw Port Adelaide in the first quarter. They were switching the ball. They were taking it offline, changing the angle of the kick, but just boring down the line. Kicking's not working for them.
Eagles by 10. Sweet down, looking for Drew. Whistle coming back. Free kick. Port Adelaide.
It's pointed the wrong way.
Yeah, so it's a free kick West Coast. He definitely pointed it to the Powers direction. Crowd's not happy. Matt Flynn to take it out of the ruck contest and hands it to Lindsay. Awkward kick straight to the middle of the centre circle. Farrell was coming the other way to meet it. Kicks an awkward bounce for Jimby. Deer in the headlights. Georgiades gathers. Burn-Jones missed the bounce of the footy. It's pinballing around now. West Coast can't make the most of it, trying to exit. Durden got it to Lukosia's kick smothered. Ricochets. Whitlock taps it. Coming through Burn-Jones. Kicks the scrubber and it rolls over the boundary line in the right forward pocket. That was some ugly footy.
Let's cue the Benny Hill music then.
But the pressure from both sides was good, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, fair call.
A lot of smothering, tackling. Jimby was a bit stiff. The footy came in. He anticipated and fell over.
Yeah, the bounce of the ball. Port needs some luck. Sweet knocks it down to Burn-Jones. Gets a handball away. Quick clearing kick from Schonberger. Hit the chest of Cripps. Had the fellow number 15 and Ware there, but his quick kick went straight to Alier. Goes to Farrell short on centre wing. Out wide to Ware. Left half forward for Port Adelaide. It's a clogged forward line, so he's going to set this one up at the top of the goal square. Flying was Dersmer. Out the back is Whitlock. How much time has he got? Goes to Burn-Jones. Off to Burgoyne, who has the flying shot at goal and is away to the right. Looks can be deceiving. They're trailed by 9 points, but really switched on in this second half at all, Josh.
No, they don't look like it at all. As we said, they don't look like scoring.
Are you a coach, Josh, that in the box you want people just to throw ideas at you all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, definitely.
Lindsay plays on from the defensive goal square. Eagles by 9. Kicks so long it carries the pack and bounces towards the Logo broadcast wing. Mead braces for contact. Flynn crashes into him. Ball up. I'm with you, Jammer. He waited for that.
Didn't he?
It just looked like rabbit in headlights at the moment, Port Adelaide.
Tossed up in front of the benches. Sweet down. Sharked, though. Tackle late on Graham and missed his boot on the ball drop. No whistle. Butters now caught in 2. Falls forward. Ball up to come. Vicky Schwartz downstairs.
Just an update on Radicali. It's his right knee. He's spent about 5 minutes on the ground with 2 physios and a doctor looking at his right knee. He's now hobbled onto the stationary bike trying to get it moving.
Tim Kelly with another clearance. This is vintage stuff. This is premiership stuff.
He's had a good quarter. 9 disposals now. 3rd clearance. 4th inside 50.
He kicked one from here in the first, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He
Waterman.
Yep. We sort of arced around on his right and nailed it. So not outside his range. Just the accuracy. It's going to take a pretty good kick, though.
I think he's got the distance in him.
Yeah.
Right to left. Just allow it. Not too far right.
So he's a big-time recruit, Tim Kelly. 9 touches for the quarter. Hit up Waterman, who we know is a superstar. And he's unloaded from 50. Probably gone a hole of 60 metres in the end, but it just went away to the left-hand side. So West Coast 11-8, 74. Port 9-10, 64. 25 minutes gone in this third term.
7 goal scorers. Jack Waterman's kicked 3 goal 4.
Yeah.
Like a golf shot across the body. It started straight and then immediately deviated left and was never a chance.
Just leant back too far.
West Coast by 10. Out to the broadcast wing go the power. Kelly, though, at the back. Hands it to Harley Reid. Drawed a couple of players and then gave it wide to Robertson, who frees up Dersmer. Full stride, gives it a lot, but misses to the left. Gee, West Coast should be up by 3 to 4 goals right now, and it's currently an 11-point game at the Adelaide Oval. 25 played, third term on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans, Tom Wilson, Rod Jamison, Josh Franco with you.
And Jamo, to your point earlier, taking out centre bounce, the ball up boundary throwing clearances plus 10 West Coast. They kicked 4 goals, 3 from it, so dominating at stoppage and field position.
So Burgoyne took a mark on the chest at right half back, and that one got caught. Talk about deer in the headlights. So Will Brodie, that was deer in the sunlight. Just dropped a sitter there, and that goes out over the boundary in front of the West Coast bench. So the Eagles by 11 points. Talk about the Port fans
West Coast
comfortable in their seats.
Forwards again, very high at stoppage here.
So Sweet knocks it down to Burgoyne, wrapped up immediately by Flynn. So 26 minutes gone in this third term, one that's been dominated by the Eagles. Harley Reid handballs out towards Robertson, and he kicks on the outside of his boot inside the forward 50, but read best by Alir, who takes an important intercept mark and goes to Farrell at full-back.
So Zach Butters from that stoppage then just walked out of there.
Farrell back to right half-back. Logan Evans has some space to work with. Down the line, Horn Francis has found a hole. Takes it, turns, up to right half-forward, kicks perfectly placed. Burn Jones, squares it up. Butters is running by. A little bit too much curl as he runs from 45 and heads for home. It's a minor score on the left. Leads down to 10 for West Coast. We're down by 29 in the second quarter. Currently late in the third. It is 11-9-75, playing 9-11-65 on ABC Sport.
It's better movement by Port Adelaide, though, wasn't it, too? They were able to hit it low, hit it hard, just to the advantage side and keeping the football moving forward.
So Lukosius brought it to the front of the contest and then kicked it inside the forward 50.
There we go open side here, West Coast.
Straight to McCarthy. Left half back. It's going to come this way. And Alir got it to the front of the contest. Baker wrapped up by Lukosius. Got a handball away in time to Reid, who sells some candy on Sweet. And again on Butters. Exciting stuff. Handballs puts his teammate under a lot of pressure, and Duff Tyler gets it to Dersma, who takes it out over the boundary line. That's pretty good from Harley Reid.
Jordan Sweet was a little lucky then too.
Yes.
He threw the leg out, didn't he?
Yep, he did.
He's got some talent. Far out, Harley Reid.
Eagles by 10. Closing in on three-quarter time. It's tossed in. Tap down comes from Sweet. Picked up, though, by Robertson. Got it out towards Baker. Kick forward. Newton tries to break away from Evans. Hands it off. Duff Tyler run down. Ball bobbles towards the goal square. Waterman's outnumbered. Port will win out. Exiting kick comes from Farrell. And it's too heavy. Long and out on the full. Right where there's a melee going on. Zach Butters has...
He's just sitting up.
Grounding pounding Liam Baker. He's just mounted him and won't let him go. Two absolute agitators from both these sides. Free kicks going West Coast way. I would have said the person closest to it was Baker, given he was on the ground at the boundary line. Duggan's going to take it, send them back inside 50. On the fly and the juggle, Willem Dersma. Gee, he's lanky. Both arms in the air, plucked it. 20 out, 45 to the left. This is probably the best looking number one pick I've seen in a while. He is just flourishing early.
He's been outstanding, hasn't he? And again, another example of Port Adelaide with Radaglia sitting on the bench, giving not being able to give that aerial presence and bring the ball to ground. That was a superb mark there from Dersma.
15-9 inside 50s this quarter. Yeah. He's kicked 1 goal, 2, and he just missed a sitter earlier.
3 games under his belt. Willem Dersma misses to the left. Straight line kick, but started on the wrong angle. He's had 17 touches.
He should be 5 goals up, West Coast.
Margins 11-10-76, plays 9-11-65. Time on in the third on ABC Sport.
At least 4 to 5 missed opportunities, I think, just this quarter alone, Josh.
Yeah.
So Farrell plays on from the kick in, out towards the wing. Flying at that one. Good grab, Shanahan. Love him. Love the way he goes about it. And playing front and behind the ball.
Good in the air at the moment, the Eagles, aren't they? Marking everything.
So he can send this one back inside the forward 50, perhaps for another opportunity. Finn flies, knocks it to the front. Dersma's tackled immediately, gathered by Ware. Just pumps it out of defence into no one in particular, and Shanahan again.
That's a really poor kick from Ware. Just lack composure with the ball, just the kick and hope almost.
There's enough time for another score here if they want to go. They'll switch through defensive 50. Shanahan to Hoff. McCarthy now in defensive 50. They've just killed a lot of time here. Tyler Young at right half back. Got to get it moving if they want another one.
I don't mind what they're doing here too, but the further they're going back into defence. But this is the kick down the line, which is where they've been losing.
West Coast by 11. It slips through the midst of Davis battling with Jones. Sliding in, Evans put his body on the line and wants the ball to be carried over the boundary line, eventually gets it there. Toss back in with 24 seconds on the clock. Nearly centre wing, Bashir stand side.
Again, those stoppage numbers, minus 12 around the ground, so that's a real concern for Port Adelaide.
West Coast by 11. Carlton and Melbourne to come your way on ABC Sport after this as well. Duff Tytler wins it down, trying to barge through as Evans. Caught high. And again, the umpire signalled the wrong way. Oh. So it said it was West Coast, but it is coming back to Port Adelaide. Jack Watkins has it.
That's going to be it.
Crowd want him to go, given the clock's running down, but he chewed up too much time. 3/4 time. There's some jeers from the home crowd. Port Adelaide's trailing by 11 against the West Coast Eagles, a side that hasn't won at this ground in their last 10 occasions. West Coast 11-10-76, Port 9-11-65. Goal scorers 3 to Waterman, 2 to Beau Allen and Harley Reid, singles to Dersma, Yeo, Cripps and Graham. Meanwhile for Port Adelaide, 3 to Georgiades, 2 to Whitlock and Durden, and singles to Watkins and Lukosius. Speaking of close games, South Australia are making a pretty decent late run in their second innings against Victoria in the Sheffield Shield final. You can hear it on ABC Listen through the cricket button. They're 9 for 254, a lead of 191 runs. And that's off the back of Alex Carey, who has just posted a century. Here's how it sounded, called by Mitch Turner.
Murphy is around the wicket, one slip in place. He bowls to Carey, who drives towards cover. He'll take off. And that'll be another 100 in successive finals for Alex Carey. Calm in chaos for the South Australian. From wobbling to walking tall, he has rescued South Australia's final from the brink.
He's 102 at the moment off 155. South Australia 9 for 254, and that lead 191.
191, so the state of play is Victoria will go back in.
Yep, and need 192 for victory at this stage.
But even if they don't, or if they're not all out, do they still...
A draw and they win as well because they were top of the table.
Yeah, so and bonus points.
Yeah, still got a day in hand though, so you can hear that on ABC Listen through the cricket ball button. Our thoughts of Rod Jamieson and Josh Franco coming up in a moment's time, and we'll preview that clash at the MCG with Matt Clinch. It is West Coast by 11 points on ABC Local Radio, News Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen. This is Sunday Footy on ABC Sport.
Stay up to date with the latest news in less than 2 minutes with the ABC News Top Stories podcast. The biggest breaking news stories of the day and why they matter. The ABC News Top Stories podcast on ABC Listen or wherever you get your podcast.
This is the 2026 AFL Premiership season with ABC Sport.
Kelly now wins the ball, hands it to Dersma, turning is McCarthy, drills a low dart. Getting low, Harley Reid's paid the mark. Even he didn't think that was a mark. Got his fingertips underneath it, turned and wanted to play on. But they've given it to him. Harley Reid will take the gift from 50. It is a monster kick. Harleywood's arrived at the Adelaide Oval.
Goes inside the forward 50, looking for Waterman. There's a whistle, holding on. So this is outside the contest. No, it was Waterman as he was running on that lead. 25 metres out, Jake Waterman. Slide angle, no worries. And the Eagles are in front at Adelaide Oval, and he's got his third. Gathered by Lindsay. Oh, he's hit the target. They've found Cripps this time. He gets an opportunity, Cripps, and he goes straight through the middle. The veteran. West Coast on fire at Adelaide Oval.
The AFL on ABC Sport.
On radio.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And ABC Listen.
They snapped their 14-game losing streak last week. Now they're trying to end their away losing streak, the West Coast Eagles, up by 11 after a 4-goal to 1/3 term. They look great. Port Adelaide look flustered. 11-10, 76 to 9-11, 65 the scoreline. Aaron Bryans, Tom Wilson, Rod Jamison, Josh Franco with you for the call. Coming up next, though, we've got Carlton and Melbourne on ABC Sport from the MCG. Ben Cameron will be there, so will Bob Murphy, Daniel Harford, Lauren Borden, and this man leading the action, Matt Clinch, for us on ABC Sport. Clinchy, what are we expecting this afternoon?
It's good afternoon to you. Sunday afternoon at the MCG. It's a beautiful 21 degrees at the moment, and two sides who are 1 win and 1 loss, hoping to climb up the ladder. And Melbourne captain Max Gawn celebrates his 250th game alongside defender Tom McDonald. As the D's look to return to the winners list, they had a first-up win under Stephen King against the Saints, but were outclassed in the West by the Fremantle Dockers. Paddy Cross makes his debut, having arrived from Casey, 23 years of age, 183 centimetres. He got the last spot on the Melbourne list following the retirement of Stephen May. Well, the Blues have had 17 days following their nail-biting victory over the Tigers. They're also 1-1. They have a debutant this afternoon. Cooper Lord out with illness, and Lockie Fogarty has been dropped. So Frankie Evans and Taylor Byrne will make his debut at the G. Picked 45 last year, comes in and will wear the number 39, made famous by Adrian Gleeson. So can't wait. The stage is set. It feels like both these sides had aspirations to climb up the ladder. It's the Blues and the Demons from the MCG after you.
Looking forward to it, Clinchy, and can't wait to see Matt Clinch and Daniel Harford together again, part of our VFL team, which you can see on ABC iView around the country every weekend. Now back in the radio box as well for Carlton and Melbourne to come next. Some injury concerns on both sides. Elliot Yeo out of the game with a groin injury, and Nasava Radigali has got a knee problem. Vicky Schwartz, what's the latest?
Well, Port Adelaide's down by 11 points heading into the last term. If they are going to win, they'll have to do it without Nasava Radigali. His knee is iced up and he'll take no further part in today's game.
So both sides a man down. Josh Franco, Rod Jamison, what are we in for here?
Well, just looking at some of the key numbers from that quarter, West Coast have basically turned the game on its head about halfway through that second quarter, but from the third they were +5 contested ball, +5 ground ball gets, +6 clearances. And overall, and I know you mentioned this throughout that third period, Jamo, but West Coast Eagles have absolutely dominated field position off the back of their clearance differential. So overall they're +12 around the ground, and they've kicked 4 goals free from those stoppage clearances. And that quarter again +7. So all the numbers at the moment are in favour of the West Coast Eagles. Port Adelaide, conversely, don't look threatening at all. They don't look like scoring. Their ball movement has absolutely gone. They're devoid of any confidence with ball in hand, and they do look very vulnerable behind the ball with Radigalia off.
They equalised all the metrics in that second quarter, and they were able to kick 5-3 to 3-1 Port Adelaide. Dersma had 9 disposals, but then into the third, they really stepped it up once again to their marks inside 50, 16 to 9. Tim Kelly's had 10 disposals, 4 inside 50s just in that third quarter alone, leading the way with 19, 10 ground ball gets, which really just reinforces, I guess, what the clearance work. And Harley Reid stepping into the game more.
Here we go, final quarter underway. The Eagles by 11. Sweet down to Horn Francis, tackled, gave it away. Kelly tumbles one up to half forward, coming out to meet it. Shanahan knocked it to Harley Reid. Zigging and zagging, can't get through traffic. He gives it away, and put down behind play might be Archer Reid, I think, or Harley Reid. We'll come back to that. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide in transition. Kick up to half forward, hit Georgiades, put it down. Butters gets it back to him, and inside 50, Durden takes the mark. They'll play on. He has the runner. Gives it to Burne-Jones, who marches in and finishes from 20. Harley Reid's in a lot of trouble in the back play. Meanwhile, Port Adelaide's on the board. Margin down to 5 in the early stages of this fourth quarter. There is action aplenty between these two young sides.
I think he's just winded. Harley Reid's on his feet now with 2 trainers. But again, the ability... when you just need to change the way you're doing it and get it forward, isn't that was all about Port Adelaide then? They won the footy back across their half-back line, and then they all just took off.
And look, I know it's easy sitting up here in the commentary box, but Harley Reid, I thought he made the wrong call to give that extra handball. He had to surge the ball forward and put Port Adelaide's defenders under the pump, caused the turnover, and then it was hold on to your hats. The ball movement was slick, and it was fast and unstoppable.
Paid the price for giving it, because he got one in the ribs there from Logan Evans. But he's going to be okay. So Flynn knocks it down to that man, and it's going to be a free kick and a ruck infringement going to Sweet. No, Flynn won it.
Oh, I reckon Reid's just giving Butters one too, just quietly.
So Sweet goes inside the forward 50, and Whitlock marks. going to pay that one, or is this going to be something that they're doing downfield?
It's going downfield. Harley Reid.
So everyone's a bit confused out in the middle of the ground, but it's going to be a player on the mark at about 40 metres out. Yeah, off the ball there. Just a push to the, upper chest.
Yeah, they've actually said here free against Harley Reid.
And a 50-metre penalty. So it ends up with Sweet, who had the free kick at the time. He did hit the target of Whitlock, but does go back to Sweet. So first goal within 30 seconds from Burne-Jones. Now Sweet can actually put Port back in front. But it goes away to the left-hand side, minus score. 10-12-72. West Coast 11-10, 76, 2.5 minutes gone final.
I was looking behind play. Did Whitlock mark the ball, did it?
Yeah,
Did
up
Whitlock
further.
marked it? Yeah. It's probably not bad play from Harley Reid there. Give it a Sweet.
It's actually what we were talking about earlier, wasn't it? Like Harley Reid in his third year, just the maturity of it. That's the stuff he's got to get out of his game. I love the aggression and, go full at it, but just can't give away the 50s.
McCarthy goes long to the broadcast wing. Players converge on the drop. It comes out Port Adelaide's way. Around the body, inside 50. The kick from McKinley's cut off. The set mark taken by McCarthy.
He's had a good day.
Mid-season pick last year out of Richmond. Expected to have more midfield minutes this year. Hasn't really eventuated. Send it out to left half back to Davis and then back in board to Tyler Young. He's right in front of the scoreboard. The Eagles kicking to the right-hand side of your radio dial. Leads 4 points at the moment. Big final quarter for both these clubs. A lot on the line given how young they are and the inexperienced coaches at the helm looking for consecutive victories. Down the line, it's escorted over the boundary line by Jacob Ware, so boundary throwing to come.
Just a positional change spotted by Tom. Lukosius has gone behind the ball as well, not influencing ahead, so they're looking to change things up, Port Adelaide.
Toss back in, Jordan Sweet in front position. Edges out, Flynn takes it out of the ruck contest, but turned into trouble, tackled. We'll get a ball up forward to the logo for West Coast.
I love what they've got ahead of them, haven't they? Like Duff Tytler, 200. Job, Shanahan, 195. Archer Reid, 203. I mean, Waterman still appeals up forward. Tyler Young down back. So they've got some height that they're really developing.
Flynn knocks it down, but gathered by Horn Francis. His quick kick up to right half forward, marked by Jinby. Just led Georgiades to the ball. It's touched off the boot, so everyone thought it was a mark. We go down the line again. Archer Reid couldn't quite complete the mark. Mead gathered down the line to Durden, had McCarthy for company, and it gets out over the boundary line. Of a throw in just forward to set a wing for the Power, who trail by 4 points.
Just looking at the monitors in front of us, a lot of Port Adelaide people with their hands on their heads.
They're distraught, aren't they? That's the question from Marcus on the text line, who says, who are Port fans going to blame now that Ken Hinkley's gone?
He's in the box next door.
Flynn taps it down, then gets the footy back from Graham. Back towards the man out of Tea Tree Gullies. Wrapped up, turnover, Port ball. Jacob Ware tries to retreat with a handball to Mead, turns it to his opposing number 3, and Baker tackles him towards the boundary line.
That's superb pressure from West Coast. They were out Port Adelaide through Ware. Great close, great tackle.
Adrian from Hampton East says, go Redbacks and go Blues. Could be a good afternoon for you. That's an interesting combo as well, supporting the South Australian cricket team, but a Carlton supporter. I like it.
I've got a mate who's that. He's been in the world of pain for a number of years, so it's about time.
Tossed in, Sweet. Got it to Drew. Missed his target to Horn Francis. Burne-Jones is there, though. Gives it to Butters. Surging buys. Kicks a little long. Foot race is on. Getting to it is McKinley. Arches the back. Breaks away from Bo Allen. The desperate dive. He got a hand to his back and he dropped the footy. Bo Allen. What an effort. Could have given up. Instead, he's forced the turnover. They get it out to the broadcast wing, and Newton is crunched. Rolled through the tackle and got a handball out. Now Jamie Cripps wrapped up, dropped the footy, rolls over, and it will be a last disposal off his boot. Free kick, Port Adelaide. She is hot at the moment.
I thought the Newton one was a little unlucky, wasn't it? Like it was straight into his back.
Kane Farrell's got it. 80 from goal. Elite user of the footy, kicks it to the dangerous spot. Flying was Horn Francis. First touch, it looked like a mark. Umpire says no. Listen to the boos. Have a look on the replay. They're going to not throw it up quickly enough. You keep an eye on that, Josh. They throw it up. Flynn, quick kick out of defence. Up towards Burgo, and he gets first touch on it. Well rowed by Robertson. Handballs to Shanahan, makes the big fella go below the knees. Handballed it to Horne-Francis, caught one high.
No, that's not a free either. He ducked his shoulder into that. That's the new interpretation of the rule. I reckon that's prior opportunity holding the ball.
Yeah. Slipped his shoulder. Horne-Francis then asked to play on. Goes inside the forward 50. Good grab.
Oh, he can play, this bloke.
Willem Dersma.
Got a lot of contact on the way down as well. As launching into him as Jordan Sweet just fell on top of the young man.
Was it a mark or not, the Horne-Francis?
No.
There was. I reckon it might have been Duff Tytler or a tall eagle floated across, and I think he might have tipped it up.
Technically, it would have been touched, but I reckon you pay them.
Right.
Yeah. In the spirit of the game.
Sounds like a true Port Adelaide man. Dersma short to Davis, and down the line go the Eagles. The young stars are standing up.
Yeah.
Shanahan with the contested grab. Eagles are up by 4 points. 7 minutes in the last quarter. Shanahan guides it up to right half forward. Waterman presents. Fist came in from Lai. Tackled his Brody. Spun around. Got it out. Sweet. Sidesteps Baker. Ruckman with some agility. Gets it to Farrell. Parting the seas with his kick. Skyward ball. Sitting underneath it. Courageous was Watkins. Takes the mark. Gives it to Brody. Drills a dart up towards left half forward rather. McKinlay takes it and wants to go. Breaks in board. Desperate diving smother. Harley Reid setting the tone. Follow-up tackle from Duggan on Sweet. Ball bobbles out. Bo Allen tracked it. He's up on the broadcast wing. West Coast head up to right half forward. Waterman's there one-on-one. Lockie Jones rose over the top of him. No free kick. It is coming back.
Tell you what, West Coast are hanging on here, aren't they? They're defended well, and now they get an opportunity ahead of the ball.
Waterman at right half forward, too far out to score.
Smart once again.
Frustrated there's a few Eagles sitting in the hole, so no one can really lead. He'll send it into the right forward pocket on the march. Shanahan left it out the back door. Central kick from Archer Reid, and all alone across the goal face is Hamish Davis. Set shot to come 10 out.
Tell you what I would be doing as well from a coaching point of view is I'll be isolating Jack Lukosius one-on-one with one of their tall marking players. He's clearly gone behind the ball to get a bit of height with Radicalea off, but could potentially be vulnerable in a one-on-one aerial. But West Coast Eagles weathered the storm and really good composure with the ball to hook it back. Didn't panic, found a mark, should kick the goal.
Hamish Davis with a HD kick. Drills it through. West Coast up by 10. 9 minutes into the final quarter. They advance to 12-10-82. Port Adelaide 10-12-72. It is Sunday footy on ABC Sport, and it's going to the wire. Josh Franco and Rod Jamison.
And Jamo, just looking at some of the numbers as well, that was West Coast first inside 50 for the quarter. It's 6-1 to this point in the final term, but as we said, West Coast were under the pump. They're under siege. All the numbers looking in favour of Port Adelaide at the moment, but against the flow, just to steady the nerves a little bit of the West Coast Eagles players and supporters. A terrific finish.
Outside the first quarter, they've actually endured the pressure, haven't they?
Yeah,
and then pushed it back the other way.
Yep, good call.
I thought Jake Waterman's kick there was smart. It was low and it was to a lead. Archer Reid made Alia accountable, and he had to come to the contest, but his agility to be able to swing around and then the smarts to be able to have a short kick to a better position.
Sweet to Brody to Watkins, up towards right half forward. Georgiades and Jinby, the two Gs. Good tackle, Ruben.
I like him as a player, Jinby.
Not holding the ball, says the umpire, so we'll have a ball up right half forward.
Ali Reid's picked him up. That's what he does.
Sweet knocks it down. Quick kick on the boot was Schonberg. Up towards centre wing. Flying at it was Archer Reid. At the back is Lukosius. Playing back for the first time in his career at the Power. Jones goes out wide to Watkins. Defensive side of centre wing. Plays on quickly. Lowers the Oz. Got enough on it there for McKinlay, who dropped the mark he should have taken. Had time to gather. Throws it on the left boot. Georgiades disposed of Jimby, but then dropped the sitter of a mark. Taken off the footy. Falls in the lap there of Liam Baker, who kicks back down the line. Flying was Waterman. Gone the gather as Shanahan. He can do it all. Handballs it off. Taking the bounce is Reid. Kicks inside the forward 50. One out in the goal square. He marks Cripps over the back of Alia. The transition play from the Eagles.
Yep. That was outstanding, Tom. Absolutely outstanding. And that kick inside 50 from Harley Reid. He dropped that in the bin. He identified he had a player out the back. He was under pressure from Lockie Jones, but that was just a beautifully weighted kick inside 50 to find Cripps.
I thought Waterman was going to take a huge hanger. It was just set up, ready. 2 against 1. He's brought it to ground. West Coast win it.
Cripps from 15 metres out. The number 15 misses. Wow. Couldn't complete the perfect play. That could hurt. 12-11-83, 10-12-72. The Power trail by 11 points.
What I will say is Lukosius does worry me behind the footy. Just thought there he competed in the air, then missed the tackle.
Mead plays on from the defensive goal square and totally misses his kick as he drills it down the throat of Jacob Newton. And that's a funny old one where there was a ball still on the ground about 20 out right in front of him, and Mead, as soon as he played on and kicked it, went to go get that ball off the ground, and I wonder if it's just distracted him. It looked almost like he was a little lost as to what he wanted to do, and he's kicked it straight down the throat of the opposition.
And it's just the ability or anticipation of the player to be able to use his speed to get across. Just jumped in front. I think it was Will Brodie.
Jacob Newton, the Norwood product, one of 3 Eagles out of South Australia, crosses the paint of 50. Newton lets it fly and misses to the right. And it is a 2-kick game. The Eagles by 12 with 11 to play in the final quarter on ABC Sport.
2 sitters missed. Jamie Cripps just earlier, then Newton then. You had Liam Baker miss one in the third, and Dersma also missed a sitter in the third.
Long kick there from Lukosius. Georgiades did push Jinby under the footy. Port fans aren't happy, but it was there.
Port Adelaide's kicking efficiency this quarter, 52%. West Coast running at 70.
Some of these shots might hurt the Eagles, but, geez, it's hard to see Port getting back in this contest around the numbers. And Lukosius, your man there, Josh, just dropped the sitter.
And they gave away a free kick, or someone did, but needed to take that mark, didn't he? This Waterman again?
Yeah, it's Waterman. Left half forward. He's going to take a kick of 60.
This is in his wheelhouse, though.
The way he rolls around.
And he's kicking with a slight breeze, looking at the flags on the scoreboard.
To the riverbank end.
Yep.
So it will take a kick of 60. We've seen it in his diagonally opposite pocket here at Adelaide Oval. He would have got the journey. So I love the confidence.
I reckon it's going to go short.
Waterman unloads with a big, high ball. Bang! Goal! That's an absolute rocket from Waterman. The confidence and the finish with his 4th. West Coast, they are flying high. 13-12-90, Port 10-12-72, 14 minutes gone in this last term.
That needs a GPS. He has kicked that all of 60, 65.
That was from O'Connell Street.
I did not think he was going to make the distance there at all. I know he's a monster kick, but outside 50 and gone through at least 3/4 post high.
Oh, wow. He knew as soon as he kicked it.
What a roost. West Coast by 18 have sapped the energy out of the Adelaide Oval. There's a bit of love, though, for the other South Australian sides. So in Game 3 of the Championship Series of the NBL, which you can hear on Sport Extra right now, Adelaide up by 7 over the Sydney Kings at quarter time. And they're all out in the Sheffield Shield final, South Australia for 258. So the lead is 195 runs. Victoria hit that, and they win the Sheffield Shield.
And a warning for the West Coast Eagles there for the 666.
Flynn down, straight to Brodie, though. Rides the tackle of Graham, but turns it over. The handball to Harley Reid. He can't control it. Whitlock wins, gives it to Butters. Sidestep 1, can't get through the second. Ball ricochets out. Harley Reid clean at ground level, but quickly wrapped up in the tackle by Brodie. Ball up to come.
West Coast looks so good when Jack Graham's in the middle, I reckon, too.
Yeah, he was good there, wasn't he?
They're up by 18, the Eagles. Flynn down, straight to Butters, though. Collected as he got his kick away. And the free kick will be downfield as a result. They're bringing it back. Ball went up to half forward, and Butters is going to have to take it behind the centre circle. Another irritation for the crowd. Butters spears it low, hits his target. Will Brodie just behind centre half forward. Steps around Graham. Searching kick inside 50. Horn Francis has a rise, can't take it. Burn Jones tried to kick in the turn, smothered. Horn Francis driven forward. Ball up to come, 20 out.
One thing I've never seen before, West Coast Eagles have had 3 inside 50s for 2 goals too.
I know.
Maybe Waterman.
Is that
Waterman?
Yeah.
from the kick in from a mistake from Mead. And it was intercepted by Newton.
Stayed in there.
If you kick a goal from 70 out, is that an inside 50?
I don't know.
So coming out of defence is West Coast, and Ware was underneath it, just got worried out of it in the end by Duff Tyler. Quick kick out of defence into space. The foot race is on, and Lukosius is there. Takes it on with the composure. Hits Richards in the middle of the ground. Plays on quickly, lowers the eyes, hits the target of Horn Francis. If they've ever needed a goal, it's right now. Marks 45 metres out directly in front.
Hasn't kicked anything today. Hasn't had a shot on goal. Last week kicked 3 in the first quarter. Probably some value now. Lukosius back.
That's his one wood, isn't it?
Yeah.
His ability to move the ball. That kick to, I think it was Richards in the middle of the ground. Just opened up that leading lane for Horn Francis.
There's a spot there with Marshall out of the side this week. So Horn Francis, Port trailing by 18 points. What can the man with the 18 on his back do? It started left, he's bent it back in time. Just keep Port's nose in this game. Brings the margin back to 12 points with his first, 11-12-78. West Coast 13-12-90. 18 minutes gone in this final term for ABC Sport.
So as a coach, Josh, here, 8 minutes, 12 points up. What are you saying to West Coast? Are you looking to score still?
I think you keep doing what you've been doing, and when it gets to the point of probably 2 or 3 minutes to go, then you start to look to lock it down. But there's still a lot of time on the clock. If you start going safe here from West Coast Eagles' point of view, it could actually come back to bite you, because 8 minutes of actual game time is a long time.
Jack Graham has been, so he's gone back to the bench again. He did take a knock in that last contest, so he doubled up. He hasn't touched the football. Tim Kelly's only had the 1, but Jack Graham's had the 3 tackles.
Well, Eagles by 12 out of the middle. Butters gets it to Watkins, spins and sends it to right half forward. Backtracking Burne-Jones, knocked away from him. Richards comes to help, gives it to Drew. Off a step inside 50, it bounced off the chest of Tyler Young. Port swarm, Ware gets it to Whitlock. Hollywood handball, Miss Berry. Eagles get the turnover. Davis has missed his target though, and hands it over the boundary line in front of the scoreboard. It'll be tossed into play. About 25 out, Port's 50.
Good pressure once again. 4 handballs out wide. Just missed the target inside the 50, so it's a boundary throw-in.
33,000 in the house. They're pretty nervous right now. Tap down went to Harley Reid. Bang, he's hit by Jordan Sweet and dumped. Free kick, West Coast.
The umpire, he's got the slip, slop, slap, hasn't he? He's got the cream all over his face. He's got the long undergarment on. He's wearing a hat as well.
Yep, very sun smart. Harley Reid sold some candy on the mark. Up towards centre wing. Gathered by Kelly. Immediately wrapped up by Drew. So we'll have a ball up just forward to centre wing for Port. Trailing by 12 points. Still plenty of time. Sweet knocks it down. Barging through was Reid, who collected Drew. A high handball to Ware, and pushed out over the boundary line was Butters. Play on, says the umpire. You can hear the boos. Duff Tyler back to Reid, who goes inside the forward 50, and he's kicked it into the 8th row.
Butters got absolutely creamed in that contest there.
He did.
Yeah, and poor composure there from Reid. Needed a better kick. Needed to keep the ball alive.
So right half back for Port is Lockie Jones.
They trail by 12, 7 minutes to go. Lockie Jones places it. Kick to Logan Evans. Looks central. Hits Whitlock at half back. Wants the switch. Had to be pinpoint. Well guided to Aaliyah, who plays on through the broadcast wing. It's good ball movement. Drew waiting for the footy. Coming late was McCarthy. Cleaned him up. Whistle. They'll take the advantage. Bury into the 50. And backtracking and cutting across is Tyler Young. Gets the intercept for West Coast. Now looks to switch out to the scoreboard.
Just feel if West Coast can get one more, make it 18 points, it's probably going to be enough.
Kicks to Hoff. If you're listening in South Australia and WA, we'll get the full fallout, so the song and an interview. Everybody else, we're going to take you straight to Carlton and Melbourne on the siren.
It comes out of defence to Robertson. Handballs over the top to Baker, centre wing. Wants to keep it in play to Schonberg. Goes the 1-2. Baker looking for the target of Archer Reid. He just short on him and just fumbles it out over the boundary line. Throw in left half forward for the Eagles. Leading by 12 points. Conceded the first 4 goals of the game, but have been the best from the West since then.
The numbers around the ball here. Very congested.
Flynn, push Sweet out of the contest. Quick kick inside the forward 50. Duff Tyler in front of Alir marks 45 metres out.
Gee, defensively really poor Alir. He was 2 or 3 metres behind.
Just got caught on his heels, didn't he? Didn't he? Wasn't expecting the quick kick. Just no ruck contest there from Sweet and paid the price.
Duff Tyler, one of the Eagles' young guns to get very excited about.
Almost the game, this kick. I agree with you, Jamo.
2-goal one for the season thus far. Hasn't scored today.
Kicks from 50. A nice drop punt. It hits the woodwork just to the left, but could be a handy point. 13 points the margin. 13, 91, 11, 12, 78. 22 and a half minutes gone.
Kane Farrell screaming for it on the broadcast wing. Had the entire space to himself. Instead, Lukosius heads to the eastern side. Hits Whitlocker, releases Jacob Ware. This might work out. Up to half forward. Georgiades left alone. Takes the mark at the attacking edge. Spots a target. Left forward pocket. Lockie Jones.
Forward.
End-to-end stuff from Port Adelaide. Kane Farrell might have to keep his mouth shut.
I loved how they transitioned that then, Josh, too, wasn't it? Too? Just 3 great kicks.
Just thinking almost a set play. With Lukosius with ball in hand, it was the long kick to the wing and then
zigzag.
Tell you what, I wouldn't put a lot of money on this kick. I'm not sure how he is with his set shots. I'm not sure what his career set shots are.
7 goals in 75 games, Lockie Jones.
Wow. Almost flipped the team on its end. Lukosius back, Lockie Jones forward.
He's a cult figure at Port Adelaide, Lockie Jones. This will just add to his legacy. Gorgeous kick.
Just lost my house.
Margins down to 7. 12-12, 84. West Coast 13-13, 91. 4 minutes to go in the final term. Port Adelaide aren't quite done yet on ABC Sport.
Aaron's got a room for you.
Actually, he's back. He's obviously snuck forward. But he's now coming into the back 6, Lockie Jones. So we're rolling the dice a little bit.
Not afraid to move the magnet, is he, Josh Carr?
No. So just over 4 minutes remaining, 7 points the difference. See, this is where I guess West Coast still need to be brave, isn't it? That centre clearance incredibly important.
Absolutely. And you just wonder will they rue their missed opportunities, the West Coast? They could have put the game to bed, but it's well and truly alive.
Tim Kelly in the middle, Harley Reid.
Flynn knocks it down. Robertson's got some space at the back. Got the handball away to Harley Reid. From the logo, goes short, finds Dersma, that number 1 picks, waxing it up to Waterman. He's 70 out, probably just outside his range, only just though. Finds Cripps on the lead right half forward.
Really smart, 4 kicks, maintained possession, moved forward.
I mean, look at this. Lai is lined up on Waterman. I mean, that can't be the ideal matchup that they want. Up towards the forward line, couldn't bring it down. Just out of bounds there was Graham, and before he took that kick was Duff Tyler who tried to pull that mark down but couldn't. So we'll have a throw in 30 metres around from the Eagles' goal in the right forward pocket.
Now Jamo's starting to, I reckon, to think about starting to lock the game away. 3.5 minutes left on the clock, no risk, free kick.
Before the ball was even tossed in, free kick Port Adelaide, big moment. Jamie Cripps, the veteran for the Eagles, and it's an awful darting kick. Gee, that was a poor one. Logan Evans missed his target. It's coming straight back in and he makes amends. Gee, he is very lucky there. Kicked it straight to Tim Kelly, who gave it back to him.
He's gone again.
Evans again, the treacherous 45. This time hits his target. 50. And 50. Jack Graham stepped forward. But West Coast are throwing it away. Kane Farrell marched up the spine. Port down by 7. We've got 3 minutes to go. Heads out to the broadcast wing. Buries in a paddock. Drills it low and honours the lead. He hits Corey Durden. Man on the mark will be smack bang on 50. Durden wants to honour another lead. And coming out in space is Sweeney. Put it down. Everybody stopped thinking it was a mark, but he dropped it. Tim Kelly gathers. Gives it to Hoff. Harley Reid legs it. The Port fans can jeer, but the ruckman did not take that. Exiting kick's no good. Logan Evans gets the intercept. Port will get another crack.
Switches on. Farrell. Out wide to Lukosius. About 70 from goal. We know what a user he is. Goes to the top of the goal square. Flying is Whitlock! Whitlock marks! 10 metres out, directly in front. I've liked the move Josh of Lukosius back. I know the one-on-one stuff hasn't been perfect, but his kicking's been good.
It has, and I actually thought he missed Jason Horne-Francis. He was in the pocket all by himself.
Jace Burgoyne as well, if he had gone shorter.
Yeah.
What about the Jack Graham one? Albeit he's still a long way away from the actual mark, he stepped forward.
Yeah.
Does he have to stay? Like, I thought he had the ability to still go forward.
Whitlock from 15 metres out. Kicks it. And we've got a 1-point ball game at Adelaide Oval. 13-13-91 West Coast lead. Quarter 13-12-90. 2 minutes left.
To answer your question there, Jem, I think once you're in the protected area, and I think it was Waterman's issue that he then moved out and then Graham came in. So you can't do that now, especially when the umpire calls stand and 50-metre penalty against. Wow, what a game.
Well, 1 minute 49 remaining. 1 point the difference.
And Gemmo, this is the time when sides practice this scenario, both from a wanting to score or needing to score to trying to ice the game. They practice this so much, so you'll see the magnets move or the players move and game on.
Who'd have thought Port and West Coast was the game of the round? Eagles by a point.
They've been so gallant.
Sweet wins it down. Awkward bounce running through. Horne-Francis left it behind. Robertson wraps up Drew and we'll get a ball up right in the middle of the centre circle. What are you seeing, Josh?
The one behind the ball and Lockie Jones is going with him. I can't say who that is, though.
Flynn, overhead tap. Drew was there. Bobbled out, though. Burgoyne tried to get it to Horne-Francis. Hot footy. Harley Reid dives in. He's wrapped up by a couple. Ball up centre square. Close to Port's 50.
They've sent 2 behind the ball, the West Coast Eagles. Yeah. Now Waterman is an extra behind the footy.
Eagles by a point. Sweet. Tapped it down, shark by Davis, throws it on the boot, a hat kick straight down the throat of Farrell, he fumbled, now he's under pressure, gets out of dodge, breaking through 3, slams it into the 50, last roll of the dice perhaps, Lockie Jones flies, Mark taken at the back by Shanahan.
Of course it is.
That was unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
Incredible mark.
Port Adelaide have to find a player now.
So Shanahan kicks it out looking for Dersma at the back of the pack. Is Logan Evans. That's a high ball, not 15, says the umpire. So this will go to ground. Quick kick forward by McCarthy. Looks like it's Sweet under that. He couldn't quite touch it. Did he touch it? He didn't. So that's lucky. So that's a lasso free kick there.
West
They're
Coast.
pointing the way of West Coast?
Yep.
Why?
Because it was off Sweet, wasn't it?
Did it touch his boot?
Yeah, it was off Sweet.
Yeah, Sweet's not protesting, I think.
Wow.
That's the right
now,
call.
49 seconds. West Coast just maintained possession. Oh, the
They're
umpire's
just checking this.
Adelaide fans look away.
Oh, here we go.
So they've had time to check this, and it was unclear whether it was just touched or off the boot.
Well, I've got the monitor here in front of me now. Sweet's running back with the flight of it.
I don't think he's touched that.
I think it's off the knee, but it's too high to be a disposal if that's the case.
No, I think he touched it.
Eagles by a point. Clock's running down. Tap towards the boundary line. Couple of juggles. Duff Tytler couldn't control it. And over the boundary line it goes. Job Shanahan. What a mark that was.
About 5 deep.
Yeah, 12.
Leo Barry.
He's going to be a star, I think.
All right. Watch Tim Kelly here.
Horne-Francis free at the stoppage.
Who wants it more? Flynn slaps it forward. Duff Tytler releases Tim Kelly. Drills it into the 50. Jamie Cripps. That'll be the ball game. He marks 40 out. Clock will run down, and West Coast are about to go back-to-back for the first time in years.
He can kick this after the siren, let the 30 seconds roll, and he's looking up on the scoreboard now.
They've lost 10 straight at this venue by an average of 63 points. Last win was 2021. The Eagles on a 14-game away losing streak are about to snap it. Jamie Cripps. Kicks from 55. Through for a minor score, and the Eagles win by 2. The young Eagles are big birds now. They're flying high once again. West Coast winners at the Adelaide Oval, 92-90. Oh, the Eagles fans will know the song well now. They've had back-to-back wins. West Coast are 2-1 in 2026. They were down 29 points at the 4-minute mark of the second term. 5-2 to wrap up that quarter. Down 8 at the half. Clawed it back, led by 11 at three-quarter time, and hang on to win 13-14-92 to Port Adelaide's 13-12-90. Jake Waterman with 4 goals, 2 to Harley Reid and Bo Allen, singles to Dersma, Yeo, Cripps, Graham and Davis. The West Coast Eagles, winners at the Adelaide Oval for the first time in 5 years. If you're listening in Victoria, Tasmania and the Northern Territory, you're off to the MCG for Carlton and Melbourne. And for those out west and those sorry for themselves in South Australia, we're going to have all the fallout here at the Adelaide Oval. A tremendous win by a side that is the average age of 22. The West Coast Eagles are 2-1 in season 2026, and they move all the way up to 8th in the AFL ladder. Rod Jamieson, Josh Franco, walk us through what just happened.
Well, I'm just looking at the stoppage clearances, the clearance work, clearances all up. Port Adelaide has been absolutely obliterated. In credit to West Coast, in that first quarter, they were really up against it. But at the end of the day, clearances 42-27 as a whole. The centre clearance, they're broken even. Port 12-11, but stoppage stuff, Josh, 31-15 in favour of West Coast.
Yeah, look, it's interesting when you talk about the modern game. Everyone keeps talking about it's a turnover game, it's this and that, which it is absolutely, but you still need to win it at the source. You win it at the source, you win it at the stoppage, you get field position off the back of that, you can set your defence. So those numbers, that's a huge discrepancy, and their ability of West Coast to score from it. They kicked 4 goals, 3. Port Adelaide only able to generate 1 goal, 1 from their stoppages around the ground. That would be a concern for Josh Carr and the Port Adelaide coaching staff. No Rosie, Jason Horne-Francis didn't really get going in there. I still question the non-inclusion of Ollie Wines in that space. He's a bull in there. He's been there and done it. He's a sensational clearance player, so they missed his presence there as well. They potentially didn't get the output from Will Brodie that they were hoping, but they got absolutely belted around the footy.
It's one of the better games I've seen Tim Kelly play for quite some time. I think last year really inconsistent with his form, but today has had an absolute blinder, and that third quarter really stepped up, and he's maintained it right the second to third and into the last. 23 disposals, but it's the 13 contested, 7 clearances, 6 inside 50s, 12 ground ball gets, 10 score involvement. So an incredibly good game for Tim Kelly, other than his kicking efficiency at 36.
Well, the other thing as well from, I guess, West Coast Eagles were outstanding. They looked, said it numerous times throughout the call, that they looked nowhere near being involved in the game, both from an offence and defence and contest point of view in that first quarter. Port Adelaide were all over them. I think it was about the 10-minute mark of that first quarter. It was Port Adelaide by how much, but slowly but surely West Coast started to work their way into the game. The scoreboard was still manageable at quarter time, and whatever was said, they changed their ball movement, they changed their ability to change angles as well when they were kicking the footy, and started to apply a bit of scoreboard pressure to Port Adelaide. But I do generally worry about those. I mean, the numbers today in terms of the clearances and the differential there, that's really alarming from Port Adelaide's perspective. Obviously no Rosie, but they've still got some quality plays in there. They just couldn't get the job done.
I think the Radicalia won in the back half when he went down, I think, in that third quarter with his knee. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what the outcome is there.
Marshall's only 1 week though, isn't he?
He's supposed to be coming back.
That's the talk, yeah.
But the Lukosius thing, I mean, he got him back in the game, and I think when he came across, he told them that he only wanted to play forward. But can you really make those deals with players?
Nah. No way.
You know, and what Carl would have seen there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've worked with him when you're at Gold Coast, Josh, so you know a bit more about the one-on-one type stuff. But if you can get the ball in his hands, he was able to change the momentum in that last quarter.
Look, he was. I think the problem with someone like Lukosius, and particularly working with him up at the Suns, I don't know where his preferred position is, and I don't think he does. I don't think anyone does. He wants to play forward, but I guess, behind the ball, he does use the ball very well by foot. But, I don't know.
No one's perfect, but he's not a strong defender.
That's what. And I reckon if you're a defender, that's your number one line on your job description, is you've got to be able to defend which he struggles with. But yeah, he gets the ball well and uses the ball well when he's got ball in hand. But he worries me behind the footy, particularly on the wrong matchup.
The Eagles are really making the most of this, so they've gone all the way around Adelaide Oval to celebrate with their fans. There are 11 players in the team today who have never won at this venue. Even last week, Archer Reid was one of the 9 players who hadn't won a game of AFL footy and said, I had to ask Jamie Cripps and Liam Baker, is this what it's like to win a grand final? Because to him, it was this huge moment. He'd waited 21 games to actually have a victory, and now he's got 2 in a row. They're really maximising, I guess, the momentum and the energy out of this one. It was a thrilling 2-point victory for the West Coast Eagles, and yeah, you can believe the hype now out west that the kids are all right, that this is a different victory to the one they had last year when Andrew McQualter finally got on the board. It does feel like they're building towards something now.
I think the impressive thing from West Coast perspective is that they've done it coming from behind. See, against North Melbourne, watching that first quarter, they were nowhere. Now, that'll be something that the coaching staff will have to address in terms of their starts, whether it was the earlier start and their body clock wasn't tuned into it, but they're slow starts, but full credit to them. Young side to have the maturity to come back and then get the game on their terms. And they were challenged late. Make no mistake, with Port Adelaide, they were coming and they were able to hang on. And Shanahan's mark in the dying seconds was phenomenal.
They've got a good contingent of visiting fans who've come to the players' race to cheer them down. It's been a long 5 years for West Coast Eagles fans, and there is maybe light at the end of the tunnel now. The West Coast Eagles make their way down the race, winners 13-14-92 to 13-12-90 in front of 33,754. We'll get you to the MCG very shortly if you're in South Australia and WA, but let's get the song and all the fallout as well downstairs. Vicky Schwartz is waiting in anticipation for the Eagles to arrive in the rooms. Down to you, Vicky.
Well, it is quiet at the minute. They're just walking in the door now. They look pretty happy. They haven't won here for 10 matches. They've lost the last 10 matches by an average of 64 points. And you can hear the clapping and cheering from the small band of family and friends that have come over here. Obviously, there's a few South Australians in this team as well. But just waiting on the last couple to come in, and then we'll put you over to the song. I think it'll be a raucous one.
Thunderous song down in the rooms as West Coast pick up their second win of the campaign. 2 straight, they're 2-1. We'll get an interview very shortly with Vicky downstairs. Simon in the York Peninsula on the text line. Enjoyed the call. Succession plans aren't proving very successful, says Simon. It's been a tumultuous start for Josh Carr. We had a text earlier I didn't get to that asked, is the heat going to come towards him the way it did to Ken Hinkley? And I think the media certainly piled on after round 1, but I don't think the fan base were a little bit more patient. It gets a little tricky. They had a lot of injuries today, Port Adelaide, but 1 and 2, when they were gifted a pretty generous fixture at the start of the year, probably tells you they're not playing finals the way they're going.
Yep, spot on.
And that'll draw some pressure for sure. For the West Coast Eagles, though, I mean, sky's the limit. There's no real ceiling on them this year. They don't have to make finals because I don't think anyone anticipated them to go that far, but if they did, it'd be a huge win. They're looking promising, the Eagles, and they've still got a semi-decent run to come. Sydney at home next weekend. Then they get Geelong at Gather Round, so a tough kind of fortnight. But then Freo, St Kilda, Richmond after that. You think you can maybe pick up a couple of wins there?
Well, the other thing as well, from the Eagles' point of view, they've got Reid, is it Duff Tyler, Waterman. They look really...
Shanahan.
They look really threatening ahead of the ball.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And Port Adelaide, conversely, they got Georgiades, then they don't have a lot of aerial threats ahead of the ball. Their small brigade didn't really influence the game, but that's what I really like about the Eagles. And Waterman almost plays that third fiddle to the other 2 tools, and he was hugely influential today.
Is it my concern with Port Adelaide? It's a little bit where they had Charlie up forward. They were really Charlie focused, and if it wasn't to him, the others went missing a little bit or didn't get used. And now Mitch Georgiades is now in that exact role. And in the end, I mean, he's had a reasonable day. He's kicked 3 goal 2. Whitlock is probably the other one who's also kicked 3, but they just keep going the one way. Whereas you've touched on the players for West Coast today, and we spoke about them all game, their ability, and their only debuted pretty much last year with the height that they have, and they're persevering. So the multiple options in which they do. Both teams had 8 goal scorers today, but it was still Whitlock and Georgiades was the focus.
Tale of two young clubs, but West Coast are the ones who are winners this afternoon. 13-14, 92 to 13-12, 90. Let's head into the rooms for some reaction with Vicky Schwartz.
Well, you may know this name, Harry Schonberg. He's won quite a few games at the Adelaide Oval, but none as a West Coast Eagle. Harry, what's the feeling today for you?
No, it's an absolute privilege to come back here to Adelaide Oval and play for the West Coast Eagles. So obviously got given a second chance by the club, and very privileged to be able to put on the jumper for the first time, and even better to get the win. So against the arch rivals.
It looks like you hadn't set the alarm. There's been a lot of talk about it was only 9 o'clock West Australian time when it started. Looks like you were still asleep the first quarter.
yeah, it did look like that. But obviously we come back in the second quarter and the second half. But yeah, we don't use that as an excuse. We train at 9:30 anyway back in Perth, so we were prepared. But obviously a bit disappointing in that first quarter. But very proud of the boys how we bounced back.
What sparked that comeback, do you think?
I reckon just we just stayed calm. We addressed it at quarter time, and we knew that if we brought our pressure and we got it into the forward, that would be able to change the game. And that's what we were able to do in the second quarter. I thought the boys down back were really good at defending the lead-ups, and then we were able to just bring pressure and get it in forward, which then gave us opportunities. So I think, we probably just lacked that in the first quarter, which let us down. And then, it was great to see a young team bounce back and do that in the second quarter and the second half.
So you're 2-1 now. Amazing from this young group.
Absolutely. It's going to give us an enormous amount of confidence. Early signs like me coming into pre-seasons, I could see that we've got an enormous amount of talent. It just comes down to effort and playing your role. So it's a great confidence boost, and we're going to go into every game week by week, knowing that if we play the way we do, we can beat anyone. So really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Upstairs to you, boys.
Yeah, Harry, Rod Jamieson, great to see you get another chance. All the best, mate, from now and for the rest of the season. But it was almost a dead ringer for the game last week against the Kangaroos. Get blown away really in the first and then win the next 3.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. Yeah. Like we talked about before, we probably should have come out like we didn't in the first quarter. But we gave ourselves a bit of a spark there in the second quarter, and if we can play 4 quarters like that, it probably won't be as close at the end of the game. So, that's probably something that we can review, look out, and look to get better at in the next couple of weeks.
When you played against West Coast, you go over there and train with them. Jake Waterman, his kicking ability, that was insane.
Yeah, like he took in set shots or ground kick?
Or indoor distance. That last one in the last quarter too.
To be honest, I didn't give him much hope. I didn't think he was going to kick it, but he roosted it, didn't he? So, he's got a lovely set shot. He works on it, enormous amount on it throughout the trainings and stuff. So, beautiful kick.
Harry, congratulations on the win. Josh Franco up here in the commentary box. Just what was the message? Just diving and digging a little bit deeper into that quarter-time address from McQualter. You seem to be under siege from Port Adelaide. Your ball movement was really stagnant, and it was a lot of long down the line bailout stuff. You seem to change that in the second quarter, change the angles of the kick and look to go around Port Adelaide's defence. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we wanted to just see it hit it. That was the main message. Like, if someone's open, let's just use the skills and just hit that kick, which then will open up the game. So we also talked about sort of getting a bit more deeper entries, which we getting into our forward line, which we knew our big tall forwards would compete, bring it to ground, and then us smaller forwards would be able to crumb the goals or kick goals. So that was sort of the main message, was just to see it, hit it, take the ball off the line, and then just play off the back of that. And we knew if we brought our pressure as well, that would be able to force a few turnovers as well.
And Harry, on the theme of tall forwards, we've just spoken about Waterman, but Shanahan, Reid and Duff Tyler, you must be pretty excited about them and the future of the West Coast Eagles forward line.
Yeah, the four-headed dragon, they call themselves at the moment. So, obviously a lot of young talent there, and I'm very excited. And like I said, if we just get it into them and let them compete, they're either going to mark it or win a halve it and bring it to the ground. So, I'm very excited to see what those 4 can do for this year and the future as well.
Harry, it's Tom Wilson up here, mate. You talked about the privilege of the other opportunity. We watched you firsthand how hard you worked at the Crows. Just what's it been like, for you getting that second opportunity and working your way into the starting 23?
Sorry, mate, you just cut out there.
What's it been like to work your way back into the starting 23 with this second opportunity? We watched you firsthand how hard you worked at the Crows, and how's it been over there in the West?
We might have some signal issues down.
I got you now. Obviously, I put in an enormous amount of work. I had my Achilles injuries a couple of years ago back at Crows, which was a bit of a setback, but that's no excuse. And I probably worked pretty hard the last couple of years at the Crows, trying to get back into that team, and it probably just didn't fall my way. But like I said, I've been very privileged that West Coast has given me another opportunity, and today was my first game, and couldn't have loved it more. So obviously just got to keep building. I've only been here a short time at West Coast, but I already feel part of the family, and looking forward to what we can do in the future.
Harry, it's Aaron Bryans here. Did you know the words to the song?
Had no idea, mate. I was sort of just like listening and sort of saying a few hit words here and there, but I was trying to get the Gatorade out of my eyes, to be honest. It was stinging, but I'll have to listen to the song on Spotify or something and learn the words, hopefully. So.
I'm pretty sure it's just we're flying high over and over again. You'll be fine. Last question before we let you go. So you were with Adelaide during the Matty Nix rebuild, and now you're with West Coast as they kind of come out of a really dark place. Can you see similarities in how Adelaide got out of a tough spot to where West Coast is now headed to?
Absolutely. I think I've probably noticed that in the pre-season. And the one thing I will say, there's a lot more young talent here at West Coast already. So we've obviously got a few of those younger boys coming through, and it's just going to come down to your effort, playing more games together and playing your role. Obviously, you can get into a few players. You get players through the draft, through the trade and stuff. But I reckon, we got most of our talent already here. We just got to play more games together and bring 100% at every game. And I see this future very bright in the next couple of years.
Love the attitude, Harry, and you've slotted in perfectly. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Harry Schomburg downstairs with West Coast winners by 2 points over Port Adelaide, 2-1 and sitting in 8th. They got the job done 13-14, 92 to 13-12, 90. And, Harry Schomburg looked pretty good out there in his new role. He's a big-bodied mid who can bulldoze his way through. And I love that line. I know it's not meant to be a knock on the Adelaide Crows, but the way he kind of said there's more young talent here than they had at this time in terms of a rebuild, which tells you, I guess he feels like, as he said, once a lot of these players get 50 games together, they'll be ready to really make a dent.
Yeah, and I think for Harry too, he's always used the football reasonably well, but he has struggled with injuries and significant ones as well. So I don't think he's ever been as fit as he possibly could have, but certainly today I thought he used the football really well, particularly those short 45 kicks or when it had to get over a Port Adelaide defender.
3-2-1 for the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Yeah, before I do that, I want to say 50 games. Well done, Devon Robinson. He had a big job today on Zach Butters. But looking at the pocket profile very quickly, Aaron, he's a Western Australian boy. He's gone to Brisbane. You know what his biggest fear is? The beach. That's weird, isn't it?
There's a lot of them over there.
That is weird. Look, could have given West Coast players multiple votes, but I'm actually going to go Willem Dersma. I thought his game today was tremendous. 20 disposals. He gangly and lanky and took some incredible marks and got enough of the football. I thought 2 votes, Zach Butters. I mean, he's had a 30 disposal day and 14 contested, 6 clearances, 7 inside 50s, 9 ground ball gets, 11 score involvements. Like he's had a Zach Butters day. But 3 votes. I only go Tim Kelly. I thought his game today, particularly after quarter time, he really stepped up and was significant in winning the football for West Coast.
It's a long road back. He was the man who was painted as their downfall with the trade that cost them 4 top 30 picks. Dropped twice last season. Feels like he's starting to respond now, Tim Kelly. And poor old Jake Waterman, 4 goals stiff. Didn't get in the votes.
Well, I thought Tom McCarthy almost deserved the vote too. I thought Josh Lindsay deserved a vote. So there was a couple of players that were probably pretty stiff.
If you're listening in South Australia,
resilience,
WA
Aaron,
as well,
it's resilience.
and you're wondering how the basketball's going, you can switch over on ABC Listen to the Sport Extra button. 36ers are up by a point at half-time over the Sydney Kings, 53-52. If they win it, they'd be 2-1 up in the series, and it means when we get to Wednesday night at the Entertainment Centre, it would be for all the marbles if Adelaide get the job done. So looking to get a road victory, it feels like that could be a very close game between the 36ers and the Kings. Meanwhile, in the Sheffield Shield final, Victoria none for 25. Still need 171 for victory, but a good start by Campbell Kellaway and Sam Harper as they close in towards what could be a Sheffield Shield final victory. Josh, huge thanks for having you back in the box.
No, thanks again.
Good to see you again. Rod Jamieson, great for your work.
Pleasure.
Huge thanks to Vicky Schwartz downstairs and to Tom Wilson, to Simon Rose and Craig Davis back in the studio. As I touched on, plenty of action coming your way. So we'll get all the wrap of the AFL round 3, which was shortened due to the bye rounds, after the conclusion of Carlton-Melbourne. Ben Cameron and Daniel Harford as part of ABC AFL Daily, which you can find on ABC Listen. There'll be the whole round recap on Monday as well, but Harf and Ben get first crack later tonight. You can hear the Game 3 of the NBL Championship Series on Sport Extra, which is live right now with Brett Sprigg and Dan Knight. The Sheffield Shield final available to you on the cricket ball button as well. Final goal scorers, so 4 to Waterman, 2 to Bo Allen and Harley Reid, singles to Dersma, Yeo, Cripps, Graham, Davis as well. Meanwhile, for Port Adelaide, 3 to Georgiades and Whitlock, 2 to Corey Durden, and singles to Watkins, Jones, Burn-Jones, Horn-Francis and Lukosius. Butters with 30 touches, Farrell with 25. Meanwhile, for the West Coast Eagles, Tim Kelly had 23 and Harley Reid looks like he's really arrived. 21 touches and 2 goals to his name. They conceded the first 4 goals of the contest, West Coast. They were down 29 points at the 4-minute mark of the second term. Kicked 5-2, got that margin down to just 8 at half-time. Massive third quarter where they essentially had a run of kicking 9 of 12 goals in a row, led by 11 at three-quarter time, and hang on to get the job done after a late surge from Port Adelaide to win 13-14-92 to 13-12-90. The West Coast Eagles moved to 8th and a 2-1 on the season, whilst Josh Carr's men 1-2. Over at the MCG, Carlton leads Melbourne 3-1-19 to the D's, 1 behind. We're about to join our commentary team on ABC Sport. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron to call the action for you alongside Bob Murphy and Daniel Harford. Lauren Borden on the boundary as we wrap up round 3 of the AFL on ABC Radio, News Radio, Sport Digital and ABC Listen. It is Carlton and Melbourne coming your way. Goal scorers as we join that game as well. We've got all individuals, so Jagger Smith, Patrick Cripps and the debutant Tyler Byrne. Let's head to the G with Clinch.